really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
A Christian revival across the country. Bible sales increasing over 40% since 2022. Religion app downloads surging nearly 80%. That increase since 2019. And Christian music Spotify streams up 50% from 2019. Our next.
So you got a report there about the recent surge in Christian-based consumption. I think that's probably the way that I would put it best. Christian-based consumption. Does that mean that there is a rise in faith? Is the Christian faith now a trendy place to be? I don't know. But we're asking you today on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Has it stayed strong, grown, decreased, or you can just vote you're not a Christian? I know everybody listening here isn't a Christian. Be curious to know how many people out there right now listening to this show really want to have that type of association on record. Good, it's good information for us to know and understand while we're going through the muck of the daily news cycle. We've got Al Robertson on at 1 o'clock. I love when we have the Robertson family on. We've had them on multiple times, various members of it, but he is the host of the Unashamed podcast. Of course, you know him from Duck Dynasty, AlanRobertson.com. He will be with us at 1:05-ish, and I'm just going to talk about this because I would say Duck Dynasty might have been in the top of the first inning on being like, you know what, we're going to be out here in this entertainment, secular space, and we're just going to pray with our family the way we pray with our family. I think that was really, I remember when that came on the scene, it was a very refreshing thing to consume. And it was because it wasn't, there's a big difference between the idea of faith as an element of my life and the fact that it's just part of who I am. And of course, me coming onto this show and like you turn on the radio and you feel like I'm wagging my finger at you all the time. So that's like an outward element of faith, which, you know, could be considered witnessing. It could be considered, you know, being on mission. I think what I try to do on this show, while I'm talking about all of the things that are of interest to me in my sphere, in my life, there's no way that I can articulate those things and discount the fact that the faith is the first and foremost most important thing that is in my life. Also, to articulate my deep understanding of how much of a repetitive failure that I am as a broken human being. Feel like that needs to be said because I think that the perception from the outside looking in when it comes to faith is that Christians, the perception is that Christians think that they're the good ones. And if you're on the outside looking in, I think that would be really unattractive. The idea that, oh, those people, they've already got it all figured out, so they say. They think they're better than me. They're not. I've seen them. I've seen how they behave at sporting events. I see how they behave at work. I see how they treat their spouse or their family. I see how they treat their life. They're not perfect. And the fact that they claim to be a Christian that's just proof that this whole thing is a mess. What a perfect example of broken people having to witness that can be. So I always say, to me, being a Christian means being an admitted sinner, an admitted forgiven sinner. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but I really would love to bring in your input on this topic, and I believe I'm committing to it at 1 in the 1 o'clock hour. We've got Ethan Sports and Local at 1:30. I think at 1:18, after we get done speaking with Al Robertson, we might open up the phones and hear where you are right now, because it is there are statistics that say that this is something that is coming in vogue, I guess you could say. And as a Christian, I'm a little bit leery of that too. Like, faith can't be a trend. It's something so much bigger than that, so much more consuming than that. Bible sales are up since 2022, Ryan. Bible sales are up 41.6%.
That's actually a surprise to me because of the proliferation of the app. You know, like you're actually still selling copies of the Bible.
People want the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Religion and spirituality app downloads up 79%. Maybe that's the successful marketing of Mark Wahlberg's Hallow.
Maybe.
Maybe this is a marketing story. This report brought to you by...
And Chris Pratt.
Yes.
And Mark Wahlberg, you said that. And
yeah.
The guy that plays Jesus on The Chosen.
No doubt. Yeah, Jesus himself, man. I mean,
Gwen
Jesus
Stefani?
almost. Yeah.
She does... Oh, I don't know if I knew that.
I follow Donnie Wahlberg on Instagram, I think. I'm a huge Blue Bloods fan. If you've not watched Blue Bloods as a show, I think it was CBS, and on Weekly, it's concluded now, but it's a show about the NYPD and just being police officers, among other things, in New York City. But Tom Selleck, he's so great. How old is Tom Selleck?
Oh gosh, he's got to be 75 at least.
Oh, I was thinking he was older than that.
Probably.
I was wondering if he's an octogenarian yet. I mean, you could still be the president of the United States if you are. It's not like you're cooked. I think he grows avocados or something in California.
81.
So he still looks great. Just for men, I think. It's working for him. Tom Selleck is the police commissioner in New York City. Donnie Wahlberg is a detective. One of Donnie Wahlberg's brothers is a police officer, and one of Donnie Wahlberg's sisters is a district attorney. So it's just so nicely fit into a 60-minute program. But at the end of every Blue Bloods show, this is what really, I don't know if we stumbled into it, my husband and I did, but we were watching it, and they really wrap up every show. You know, you've got all the conflict that takes place during the course of an episode, and it wraps up with them all around the dinner table. Tom Selleck's wife has passed before the show even starts, so he's a widower. And they also have one son that was killed in the line of duty. So that's foundational conflict that exists in the story. But while you have the police commissioner and a on the street police officer, a detective, and somebody who's on the legal side, all coming to the table at the end of an episode, and they bicker about things, and then they, generally speaking, resolve them around the dinner table, and then they pray. And that's usually the end of the episode or close to it. On CBS, it's pro-police, but they're still telling stories. Like, I guess if I were a dyed-in-the-wool, avowed liberal, I would be just repulsed by all of it. But the stories are really good, and I saw that, and I'm like, these people are going through what is normal life for them, for a police family in New York City. And at the end of the day, they're sitting around the table with their family, valuing family above all else and faith. I relate to that. So you've got shows like Blue Bloods that have come in, along with Duck Dynasty. But I am tail end of New Kids on the Block. I was not a New Kids on the Block fan, but that's because I was like 3. So it is what it is. My sister was, my older sister. Donnie Wahlberg, being one of the lead characters in that show, I follow him on Instagram. He lives in Northern Illinois, I think in the St. Charles area, which is something, actually I think he follows me on Twitter.
Really?
I think so. I have to check that again because that'll make me happy again today. I think he does. He and his wife, do you know who his wife is?
Jenny McCarthy.
Just got baptized.
I did know that.
And they're
I didn't know they were in Northern Illinois, though.
Yeah. I think St. Charles area, Illinois. But they go to praise concerts. I mean, they're just very outward with their faith. I am, Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, very apprehensive about showy faith. So, like, if you're out there and it feels like the motive is maybe just a little selfish over witnessing, I just have a very scrutinous eye to that. But this doesn't really feel like that. I don't know that Donnie Wahlberg and Jenny McCarthy are like, we really need to get our names out there.
Yeah, at this point.
It almost seems like a step backwards.
Right.
If that's what your goal was.
Yeah.
So the question is, is faith having a moment? And of course, we could get deeply into why faith would be having a moment right now. But I'm wondering how it's affected you. I'll tell you that when I speak to people at events that we go to, if I meet you at a restaurant and you come up and say hi, or Walmart or whatever it might be, one of you tell me consistently over and over and over again, you love it when we talk about our families and our kids. But you also seem to appreciate that we have an openness about our faith on this show. And I have people close to me who are in broadcasting who have told me before, Annie, it's a risk to be that out with that. Like you're kind of making a choice when you repeatedly come out with your faith. It's a risk. Not like I'm going to get fired for it, but it could be a turnoff for people. So I regularly try to state that this is part of who I am. And I understand if that's not part of who you are, but I can't just like, Ethan's not going to come in here and pretend he's not a Cardinals fan. Ryan, you're not going to pretend that you don't have a love for writing. Brad, you're not going to pretend that you're like a big EV guy. It's just not going to happen. It's not who we are. It's part of what we are. It drives us. And for the four of us, faith is a huge part. It's the part. Everything else is post that. So for us here, I would hope, we'll go around and talk about this later, but I hope our faith is staying strong in this room. But that's not always the case. You don't really know what people are going through. And while we are coming up against reports that contemporary Christian music streaming is up 50% since 2019. There's a lot of consistency here that people are seeking out something that maybe they weren't seeking out before. And I think it's worthy of a discussion. So we want you to keep it here. Al Robertson will be with us at 1:05. I'm going to ask him why he thinks that this might be. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe he'll be like, I think there's this show, Duck Dynasty, and it was a real big hit. People prayed in front of people. I don't know. I don't know what Al Robertson will say, but we do want you to go vote on the YouTube live chat poll and tell us, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Could be good, could be bad. Could have stayed strong and steady, and maybe you're not a Christian at all. YouTube.com/@Annie Frey. And text us. Ryan's monitoring the text line at 314-241-9797. Joe Concha on the Annie Frey Show next. So Anne's Bra Shop, I am so excited to bring to you some awareness of what Anne's Bra Shop is doing in the Missouri and Illinois, St. Louis area, helping people get fitted, yes, for the right bras. Is it weird to talk about? No, because women are wearing bras all over the place, but we need some help, maybe from you. If you are somebody who is looking for your next position, you're looking for a job, you have management experience, maybe retail experience, maybe you have none of that, but you've got a heart to serve and a heart to help. Anne's Bra Shop has a position open for you. You can apply in person every day but Tuesday at the Anne's Bra Shop of your choosing. You can go to 314-878-4144, call 314-878-4144, and ask them about the positions that they have open. They are hiring at all locations. If you're looking for meaningful work, flexible hours, reach out to them and tell them what you might be looking for and see if you're a proper fit. 314-878-4144. That's the number to call. Tell them Annie sent you. And if you're looking for the bra that fits for you, of course, you can go shop there as well. Brashop.com. Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. So there is a lot of brouhaha going on right now between ABC, Disney, and The View, of course, and the FCC. And it looks as though maybe there is some trouble in paradise. Fox News reports that Disney's First Amendment lawsuit against the FCC alleges The View has had to be, quote, more circumspect about the content that airs on the program amid the agency's crackdown on ABC stations. Let's talk to Joe Concha about it right now. Fox News contributor, author, and on X at Joe Concha TV+. He's got a great radio show you should check out. Goes nationally. Joe, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us.
Happy Friday, Annie. How are you?
Thank you for the reminder that it is Friday. That was yes. Pleasant. I appreciate that. What is going on right now between the FCC, and ABC and Disney? Is there some actual trouble here?
There is, because just to get out of the weeds here for the layman's at home, and that's basically 99.9% of the population on this particular topic, cable news networks aren't under FCC purview as far as licenses. So CNN, Fox News, MS Now. However, ABC, CBS, and NBC do have licenses that are approved by the FCC. So what is happening here is the FCC has certain rules around fairness, for example, or not promoting certain political campaigns or parties. And obviously, The View, if you watch it for more than 8 seconds, sane and sober, seems to be favoring a side, I think. And they've even gone so far to literally endorse certain candidates. Like, we have to vote for this person. We have to vote for Graham Plattner in Maine because we have to take back the Senate because democracy is at stake. So vote for the Nazi guy. So that's what we're seeing here. And overall, just big picture, Annie, I have a column out for the Washington Examiner, and not a lot of people know this, but the person who runs ABC's news division, her name is Dana Walden. Dana Walden has donated on nearly a dozen occasions to the Kamala Harris campaign, whether it be Senate, whether it be Attorney General, whether it be anything else, right? So here's the problem with that, all right? And by the way, Dana Walden is basically, or was, Kamala Harris's next door neighbor in Brentwood, California, the home of OJ, or former anyway. He's dead now. Sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this. Yes, Walden introduced Doug Emhoff to Kamala. That's how close they are.
Yeah.
And she's also donated thousands of dollars, or did, to Joe Biden's reelection campaign, and has only donated to Democrats and not Republicans. So this is the person that runs ABC News. I think there's a conflict of interest, and I call them MSABC now because we talked about, it's good, right? Yeah, I came up with that myself. We know about CNN and we know about MS Now, but ABC, I grew up watching Peter Jennings, and I thought, okay, maybe he's a little to the left, but I always thought he was fair and is a real newsman, right? And Ted Koppel, obviously a journalist, and then before that, Brinkley and Walters and so on. So this is a pretty iconic news division, but now you watch it, and clearly they're really no different from MS Now in terms of overwhelming bias. We saw it during the presidential debate between Trump and Kamala, where Trump had either 11 follow-up questions or fact checks, and Kamala Harris had 0. And I wrote a column at the time listing the 23 fact checks they could have done of Kamala Harris.
Since they didn't do it, Joe Concha did.
Okay, thank you. Yes, which I don't work for him. I mean, what am I doing this for? But the point is that, Terry Moran is a good example, right, where in some late night screed, probably liquid courage involved, I would imagine. Anything you write at midnight probably has that involved, and it's really weird. And remember what he wrote about Stephen Miller, right? He's the deputy chief of staff, and said that, he has hatred is his spiritual nourishment, and hatred, and he's a hating kind of guy, and all this stuff. It's why are you writing this? You're a White House correspondent. It's not like he's Keith Oprahman.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the straight newsman. He was fired right after that. And now he's out a year later saying, oh, by the way, I had the story on Fauci and the lab leak and how it probably came from a lab, and Fauci killed the story and the executives listened to it. Oh, thanks. Welcome to the party, pal. Where were you, for the last year, since you haven't been working, or even when you were at ABC when they killed the story? So, yeah, overall, I could go through example after example, Annie, but ABC is in real trouble here because, A, they have 0 credibility left. Okay, no one does really at this point. But also for the fact that The View particularly, they could end up getting their license pulled because The View has gone way, way too far.
Yeah, it's a View. It's not views. There's not multiple views to that. So is there a difference, just for people, you talked about being in the weeds, but is there a difference between the obligation that ABC has versus maybe an MS Now or a Fox News, the difference between being on cable and being on network, where the FCC is involved?
Right. So the FCC, that's the exact answer. The FCC is involved. They have certain rules, and the licenses are given to the broadcast networks because it's an antiquated rule, mind you, because there used to be only broadcast networks, right?
Yeah.
And then cable came along, and then they ended up not being under that jurisdiction. Maybe they should, but that's not happening. But the point is that, since they're under those rules and, the equal time rules, for example, not endorsing political campaigns or candidates, all those rules are being blatantly broken, especially by Sonny Hostin and Joy Behar and Anna Navarro, who literally, did a fundraiser for Joe Biden. Like, okay, way to go. And she's employed by 2 networks. Isn't that incredible? Like, one of the stupidest pundits out there. And it's not a female thing, trust me. Just dumb. Just a dumb person. Like Don Lemon's a dumb person. Okay, see? Male, female. Okay? I got to come up with somebody white. Jim Acosta. Okay, I got white, I got male, I got female. All right, we're all good. She's employed by 2 networks and gets paid like a lot of money for just what? I have no idea. But those 3 people particularly have been pushing candidates, and you just can't do that.
The accusation here, ABC is alleging that the FCC chairman and the administration are weaponizing federal broadcast licensing. Is this on what grounds are they saying that there's a weaponization against them? I know that ABC has very consistently been against the weaponization of government.
Right. Or the DOJ under Biden.
Yeah.
Well done. Sarcasm. What can you say, Annie? I mean, it's the only thing they could say back. Like, obviously, it's like with Newsom. Newsom says the same thing with his investigation. This is obviously a political witch hunt by Trump because he's threatened by my existence. And I guess ABC said, we're just trying to do, free and fair reporting without any, fear or favor to party. Like, of course, that's like the standard line. But we know that's not happening. So, we'll see where this goes. But in the end, my honest opinion is that just let the free market decide. And if ABC is going to continue just to be an arm of the Democratic, I can't even say the Democratic National Committee anymore because an arm of the Democratic Socialists of America, I got to include them as well. 2 parties.
Yeah.
Then fine. And then if people want to tune out, they tune out. But I think people are picking a side and saying, all right, that's our audience. And we're going to go from there. And I think that's wrong. And I'll defend Fox before anybody says, you work for Fox. Yeah. All right. Watch the 5. And you tell me if Jessica Tarloff is under any sort of direction to say what she wants to say as far as defending Democrats and giving a perspective that maybe some people don't want to hear. It's not just Jessica. We got plenty of liberals on the network. That's the difference between us and like an MS Now, which does not have one pro-Trump voice on it.
And you completely like those people have a position and opportunity to speak and to articulate that. If you were a lefty, you would go watch Fox News to watch those individuals articulate their case kind of in the lion's den from time to time because they do have a prominent place in Fox News. Real quick before we let you go, Joe Concha with us. Yeah. Do you have any quick assessments of moving into the midterms? Florida primary is over. Michigan is doing whatever it's doing with socialist opportunity for the Senate. Just any quick thoughts on that?
Quick thoughts are that Michigan, Mike Rogers wins quite easily.
Yeah.
Fake Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed. My wife's an ER doctor. It drives me nuts when people call themselves doctors and they're not. And this guy doesn't have a medical license. You are not a doctor, just like Dr. Jill Biden is not a doctor. Stop calling yourself doctors. But that's not the reason why he's not going to get elected. It's because he's best friends with Hassan Piker. Mm-hmm. And no. All right, so that's done. That's a purple state. I think Alaska goes Republican because that's a red state. I think Ohio stays Republican. I think Iowa stays Republican. I think Texas stays Republican. Overall, I think that Republicans could actually gain seats or at least hold on to what they have, but they're at no risk, none, of losing the Senate. The House is different because Democrats only have to win, 4 or 5 seats in order to take back that chamber, and the average is usually 19 during midterm years of the party that's not in power. But then again, Democrats are so unpopular, and there's such a schism within the party that maybe it doesn't happen. But again, you got to get gas prices down. I mean, this Iran thing has to be resolved one way or another. And Iran knows they don't have to do anything. They're just going to run out the clock to the midterms. That's why they're doing what they're doing now. So I think Democrats barely take back the House. They don't take back the Senate. We have a divided government. And then impeachment hearings will begin, and cable news will go nuts over him, and then nothing will happen because he won't be removed because the Senate, you need a 2/3 vote. That's my quick
possibly a huge campaign contribution to the 2028 Republican presidential nominee for the Democrats to get control of the House and be obsessed with Donald Trump and impeaching him the entire time, and that's what they do.
You're so right. I wrote about that.
Yeah, well,
the biggest gift.
I must have read your article.
Children. Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Joe, thanks for being with us today. Hope you have a great week, and we'll be tuning into your show this evening.
Thanks so much, Annie. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So Joe Concha there on the Annie Frey Show with us. We've got a YouTube poll up for you. We're going to get to some of your feedback here. The question is, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? And Brian messaged the Facebook page and said, lapsed Catholic here. Do not practice, but feel strongly that the moral compass calibration of my Catholic education gave me what it gave me is valuable, and I'm glad I experienced it. Give us your feedback, 314-241-9797. We'll be right back. Air Comfort Service. You find them online at aircomfortservice.com. I appreciate that Air Comfort Service is always working on a way to make the need that you have a little bit more affordable for you. And right now they have an incredible double carrier cool cash rebate situation that you're going to want to know about. You're going to want to inquire about. 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. Let me tell you a little bit about double carrier cool cash and how it can help you if you need a new air conditioner or HVAC system. You can save up to $3,400 for a limited time with that double carrier cool cash rebate from Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. If you have an air conditioner or you know your furnace is not up to snuff, now is the time to capitalize on the majority of those rebate savings, but it starts with a phone call to Air Comfort Service. I've used them in my home, replaced the air conditioner, the furnace, the water heater. They've done a duct sealing on in my home. I trust them in my home. You can trust them in yours. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Call Air Comfort Service. Tell them Annie sent you online at aircomfortservice.com.
On this Friday, August 21st, we are asking you, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Has it stayed strong, grown, decreased, or are you not a Christian? Let us know. That's the YouTube live chat poll, and you can find that poll and vote in it by seeking out the Annie Frey Show online, where we are live on YouTube, and you can click the YouTube live chat poll right there as you watch us doing the show here. 12:33. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Welcome back. So we've got this story that has developed here today. The New York Post is reporting this, and it's about this woman who was arrested, who was going to try to carry out some sort of plot towards the Capitol building in Albany. So not New York City, but the capital of New York. New York Post writes by Vaughn Golden, Anthony Blair, and Zoe Hussein says, a New York woman plotted to bomb the state capitol in Albany after pledging allegiance to ISIS and celebrating the 9/11 terror attacks. Jessica Bowie, 35, from Albany, allegedly began strategizing the attack in July and planned to place the bomb in a DoorDash food delivery bag, taking apparent glee in the bloodshed it would cause, the feds wrote in a criminal complaint. Blowing non-Muslims' brains out is beautiful, she told someone who turned out to be an FBI informant. She allegedly purchased bomb materials from a Home Depot on August 5th while wearing a burqa and planned the attack with the help of FBI informants for 2 weeks. I mean, this stuff is still going on. I'm always asking myself whenever a story like today's comes out, how many of these stories make the news and how many of these plots are foiled and it just never really cuts through. It's not really something that's made public. I assume that we don't have a real grasp on how many threats we are under at any given time.
No, and it's oddly one of those things that it's almost like this is why you have your government. This is why you elect those people. This is why there is confidentiality to
safety
things.
And security.
Is that we don't have to think about that stuff all the time. We have to think about it in terms of who's going to do a better job at it when we go to the polling place. But that's it. That's our job, is to consider who's better at doing things like this, stopping this stuff.
Law enforcement had Bowie on their radar for 5 weeks leading up to her arrest and believe she was radicalized online. So, I mean, I don't feel like in 2001, when September 11th happened, this wasn't taking place online. If you were going to get radicalized, you kind of had to make a decision. Then you had to get on a plane, fly to a place where you could be radicalized. Now this is all taking place online. I would assume that would make the availability much more prominent and also easier to track. So it's like, I don't know if the net percentage of people were able to catch, which hopefully is 100%, but usually maybe isn't quite that, if the frequency with which it can happen while people can just do this stuff online. I mean, if you think about what's going on in Minnesota and all of the fraud that's existing there, how, like, without the internet, of course, that can't happen the way it does. But there's just so much intentional infiltration of American culture that, you know, if you're in the FBI and you're reading these tweets from a woman who's going into Home Depot buying bomb stuff with a burqa on, I just feel like, okay, maybe that's a little on the nose for a particular instance like this. But there are a lot of people who are potentially dabbling, people who are mentally unhealthy. I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say it. People who are lonely, people who have some sort of emotional disposition that seeks out some sort of belonging or affirmation. And it's all something that can be tapped into online by people who are preying upon those people to give them that sense of belonging. And it's not I think it's a very sad indictment on our society that we are such a lonely culture right now.
Yeah, which is why people seek this stuff out online. And again, back to what I was saying about, you know, the FBI, the DOJ, and law enforcement handling these things. My presumption is that the next step in this case would be, for the FBI anyway, because they've got this woman, is for them to look and see, well, who was radicalizing her? And then you start to seek out those people and see what were they preaching. Because Fox News just had a chyron running that she said, I don't know if she wrote it or she said it, praise be to Allah. So somebody has gotten into her mind.
She said praise be to Allah regarding the September 11th attacks.
Okay, that's what it was that they were saying then. And so obviously she has been radicalized. And like you said, she's probably just looking for a sense of purpose. Like she's just looking, that's what so many groups do, is they provide that. And whether they're good or bad, it doesn't really matter. You get the same feeling from being in it And then if you want to go nuts, I mean, they'll make you nuts. The really bad ones will.
There's a universal sense of need, I think, for humans. I think humans were made to crave human connection and also spiritual connection. There is a part of our human existence that wants to feel wanted and wants to feel like they belong. Going to the YouTube poll for today, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? I think that when I'm surveying the news on a daily basis, you know, we've kind of touched just for a second maybe on this woman who killed her 3 kids. Like a story like that, I can't go into that story. I can't read that story. I cannot enter those thoughts into my head. I just have to restrict myself on that. And that's because I've learned that about myself kind of the hard way. But any normal human being is going to see a story like that and say, how does this exist in the same society that I'm existing in? How does something like this manifest itself in such an accomplished way in the same world that I'm living in? I'm making my pathway from home, maybe to drop the kids off to school, to the bank, to go to work, to go get the kids, to go to the grocery store, to make dinner, to go to bed, to get up and do it again. Just a routine that we have, and you're just living your life. But at the same time, something like that exists. And I hear this question a lot from people, especially people who are kind of dabbling in and questioning that faith conversation. Like, what kind of God would allow something like that to happen? And for me, as a Christian, I ask myself that question kind of similarly as well. And I'm like, wow, gee, this really feels like something that was not necessary. And I always come back to, for me internally, if I am a Christian and I do believe that I'm broken and sinful and I live in a broken world and a sinful world, that there is an admission and an acknowledgement, an affirmation of evil existing in this world. And I think it's the kind of like young Sunday school version of Jesus is when you stole your brother's toy, that was a sin, but Jesus forgives you for that. And you should apologize and you should ask for your brother's forgiveness too. That whole scenario is a result of a broken world and evil existing in the world. But when you get down to the very brass tacks of how evil can be, I think that to me, as a Christian, really starts, people ask, like, what kind of God can exist that would permit this stuff to happen? I actually kind of flip it on its head and think, what kind of God could be so big and so great that could stretch out his arms to forgive all of these sins? If people, you know, if Jesus loves his creation and offers his forgiveness, there's not really a limitation on what his forgiveness can cover. And I think that the gift of that is, to me, amplified exponentially so in the moments where I realize how evil can be in the world. Because it's not just your Sunday school sins. I don't know if that's a proper way to explain it, but just like when you're learning about this as a child, you're learning about being a bad girl or being a bad boy, like Jesus loves you and forgives you for those things, but you're not thinking about, God, I hope you're not thinking about the magnitude of how much evil wants to rip apart any belief, any avenue, any path that I might have towards looking at Jesus and saying, yeah, I think this is real. And if it's real, what does that mean? I just think that the amplification of the evil at this point in my life gives me an amplification of the grace and the mercy that first that I don't deserve, but that I receive. And then, of course, who am I to say that anyone else can't receive it? But you have to acknowledge that evil exists and is absolutely on the hunt for opportunities to manifest itself in the biggest possible ways. YouTube poll is asking you today, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? At 1:05, we're going to speak with Al Robertson. of the Robertson brothers family, Duck Dynasty fame. Any text over there on the text line before we go to a break?
Yeah, definitely. Let me grab one real quick here. It says, I've been a Christian my whole life. It has grown. The reason Christian content is on the rise is because our world is so messed up. Regardless of denomination, people are searching for something better. You're not wagging your finger at anybody. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that. I think that's an interesting, and I think that's a very smart take, too, to say that people are pursuing something faith-based because of the situation we're living through in the world.
I
Situations.
had a pastor say 25 years ago, so you can identify just how long that's been and what we've seen in that time. He said, as the darkness grows, even a little light looks brighter, so that you don't have to be this gigantic lantern. You can be a little bitty light, and people are going to seek it out more when it gets darker.
It's very well put. I think that's a really, really great way to put it. All right, give us your feedback, 314-241-9797. Also on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Brad's watching that when we come back. Wiggins America, Be or Not the Bee, next on the Annie Frey Show. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. You can call them at 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900. Waiting for your phone call, Matt Hayes is, to talk about your basement issues. If you've got water coming in your basement, you just reach out to them and talk to them about scheduling an appointment. They'll come to your basement. They'll tell you what you're dealing with and how to fix it once and for all. And when you waterproof your basement with Home Shield Foundation Repair, they add a lifetime warranty on that. So you don't have to worry about future issues. They're going to come make sure that it was right the first time. And if there's anything that arises after that, they're going to help you out as well. Plus, right now, Matt Hayes at Home Shield Foundation Repair wants to offer you a way to get this done in a little bit more of an affordable way. 0% financing for 24 months if you get your basement waterproofed with Matt Hayes and Home Shield Foundation Repair. You can call him at 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900 and tell him Annie sent you. You can find him online at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Or not the bee.
Well, got the end of it anyway.
I just wanted to make sure everybody was paying attention.
Yeah, it's something.
I forgot to make sure I was paying attention.
Not the bee.
Yes.
This is the bee.
We could just...
Wiggins. Oh, Wiggins. The bee or not the bee.
like butter.
Now it feels right. Now we all know what's going on. This is the Be or Not the Be. In that, I will give you all headlines, and you have to tell me whether they are satire from the Babylon Bee or whether they are real headlines. Sometimes it's difficult to discern. That's the name of the game. The first one is this. DeSantis explains to Newsom secret to counting ballots in one night is not committing fraud.
I think that's real. I'm voting real.
I'm going to say B.
Brad is correct. This is the Babylon Bee. DeSantis and Newsom did not have a conversation where he explained.
I bet he did it just on the internet.
On the internet. You're right. Once I read the headline, I'm like, actually, that could have happened.
Yeah.
Insiders
totally could
from
have.
Newsom's office confirmed that the governor suspected DeSantis must have been engaging in some type of witchcraft to count so many votes in so little time. Quote, "What type of dark sorcery is this?" he reportedly asked his staff. "Everyone knows that counting ballots takes 5 or 6 weeks minimum." You'd be shocked at how easy it is without all the fraud, DeSantis reportedly said. As crazy as it sounds, it really does just come down to counting, literally, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. That's my favorite quote of that whole article. I'm like, I'm getting to that.
Should have kept going.
Getting to that for sure. All right, next one. Grass has a life like humans have a life, says Trump.
Real.
Yeah, I think this is real.
He was talking about the helipad.
You are correct. This is a real article.
That's a more ridiculous headline than the one that was just.
I know. I'm going to read it again just in case you didn't catch it. This is a real one. Grass has a life like humans have a life, says Trump.
It's not even really true.
Well, they have life. They both have a life.
Like humans.
I'll go on in the article here. It says, because it is real, President Trump was out talking about the grass regrowing on the White House lawn after the UFC fight, and he dropped some wisdom for the ages. Quote, "Grass has a life like humans have a life. This has all been redone. It's all topsoiled. Lots of good ingredients. If you're grass, you're very happy."
Just like humans.
It was given free of charge by the Scott's Miracle Grow people.
It was like, I'm going to say some crazy stuff, but then I'm going to tell people it was donated.
It was,
and
yeah.
everyone's like, oh, okay.
It was. So that's a real story. How about this one? Trump admits both Koreas look the same to him.
What?
Oh, no.
I know he's like dabbling. I know that he said he's like, Kim Jong-un and I are going to meet later this year. And then Kim Jong-un is like, no, we're not.
You're about to find out you are.
I don't know. B?
Brad?
No, that's real. I'm going to say real.
Yeah, I'm going to say real.
No, you guys are wrong. It is the B. Quote,
again, it's possible. It's plausible.
"I had no idea that this was the bad Korea. They look so similar."
Oh, no.
Said Trump to
The
a
B.
pool of reporters. Good Korea, bad Korea. Honda, Hyundai. It's very difficult to tell who, frankly. I don't think anyone can tell them apart. They're so identical looking. Aides attempted to show Trump differing pictures of the two Koreas and their leaders, but to no avail. Quote, "They're the same picture," said Trump.
Isn't it funny how, people would say the Babylon Bee is a conservative platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're totally mocking, I think is the right word. They're totally mocking how Donald Trump is so decided on things.
Yes.
And it's like, this is mockery from his side.
Yep.
You don't get that from the other side ever. And if you even allege that maybe you were thinking something like that was funny, you're out.
And look, you know how we know that you don't have any comedy criticizing their own side from the left? Because anytime there's a hint that it possibly has happened on a late night show, conservative radio goes crazy over it.
Yeah, we
can't
all play the
believe it.
same clip over and over.
Yes.
And we're all like, it's funny every time.
It's funny. And oh my gosh, can you believe they said it? There are shows every night doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And how many of those have we played this year?
Yeah.
Maybe one, if that.
Yeah.
There's been nothing. And the Babylon Bee, you're right, puts out articles like that every week. There's another one I passed up, I almost did this week, where they're criticizing Matt Walsh through a really funny headline that said something like, Matt Walsh asks people or criticizes people for taking him in context.
Yeah, and if you're Matt Walsh, truly you're like, most of the time Charlie Kirk in South Park is a perfect example of this. They watched that episode live together. They consumed it, they videoed it, they laughed at it.
I did not know any of that.
Yes.
I'd never heard that
Charlie
before.
Kirk was watching this, and the Charlie Kirk South Park episode shows Charlie Kirk picking up the microphone and then putting the microphone down on the table. And Charlie is providing accolades to South Park for how good they got the parody of it.
Yeah.
And you just like I'm the only people who I'm thinking who have even probably tried to attempt a sense of humor is like Gavin Newsom, but what an abject failure that is. Like, who on the left is funny? Who on the left
I can't
can
remember
be
him being
maybe
funny.
Fetterman, kind of, sort of. I mean, when the one guy who was, I guess it was Syed, El Syed was running in Michigan in the primary, referred to Fetterman as an ogre that should be strung up in the public square or something like that. Fetterman was like, whatever.
Yeah.
He acknowledged it and was like, whatever. So maybe him, but like, Nate, give me a Democrat who can take a joke.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's a good question, because I was going to start to say people like John Oliver and Jon Stewart, but they're comedians.
Oh, they're
not
butthurt,
politicians.
though.
And also their comedy is ruthless.
Jon Stewart, I've heard him from time to time make a criticism, but maybe if Jon Stewart is the best you have to offer, then I still win.
Yeah, and it doesn't. And this is personal opinion. You don't walk away from watching The Daily Show feeling like refreshed.
Yeah, like you got to exhale and laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
All right, here we go. Another headline: Harry Potter actress admits joining OnlyFans for the money was embarrassing.
What? Who?
A Harry Potter actress has admitted that joining OnlyFans for the money was embarrassing.
That's real?
That's real.
That's a deep cut if it's not real.
Right, yeah.
It's like the news cycle isn't that slow that Babylon Bee needs to go there.
You're right, this is real. Jessie Cave, who played Lavender Brown. Do you recognize that character? I don't. In the final 3 Harry Potter films.
Who's the platinum blonde who talks real funny? She talks like this.
That's Luna.
Oh yeah, Luna.
It's not her,
as well.
right?
Lavender is a blonde girl, but she's kind of like a minor character.
Okay, so yeah,
If she weren't a minor character, she wouldn't have had to go to OnlyFans.
That's exactly what she says here, actually. She says
She's
joining
like, I should have been Harry Potter. This is
OnlyFans,
2026.
to support her family was embarrassing, but
Probably not with
acknowledged
J.K. Rowling, though.
that the platform has provided crucial income during financial struggles, Page 6 reports. People just assume I'm rich and have loads of money, but no, I don't, she said.
Don't you wonder how much of that exists in Hollywood where people, I mean, I'm not going to talk about Harry and Meghan, but they're in some, I think, financial crap so much that they've got to go crawl home to King Daddy.
Yeah.
And the worst, I think the worst thing you can be in Hollywood is poor. Or maybe even like not filthy rich. That's very possible.
This is why the convention circuit is so big, because
Yeah,
a lot of these
easy
actors
money.
make money off of it.
Al Robertson on the Annie Frey Show next.
Economic D-Day for Iran is coming. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. The Trump administration is touting a crushing financial campaign against Tehran as it refuses to negotiate or reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
This is the next step, are these economic sanctions.
U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker on Fox Business.
All the military objectives have been accomplished. Have taken out their conventional military. Their Navy is at the bottom of the strait.
The administration plans to impose the economic D-Day sanctions on Monday. And as the U.S. puts more pressure on Iran, Vice President J.D. Vance is pushing the administration's America First economic agenda. Speaking a short time ago in his hometown.
It is great to be home. It is great to be back in Middletown, Ohio. And it is great to be with the greatest group of American patriots anywhere in the world. God bless you all, and thank you for having me.
Vance told a crowd at the steel plant where his grandfather once worked.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy, or it's all going to happen overnight, but in just 18 months, we have seen an explosion of rebuilding in the American heartland. We have seen trillions, with a T, trillions of new dollars of investment pour into the United States of America.
President Trump heads to South Carolina this evening to campaign for Senator Darlene Graham, appointed to replace her late brother Lindsey. And she's in a special Republican primary next week trying to win her own Senate seat. And she tells Fox News,
"We are so excited about him coming to Myrtle Beach. You know, South Carolina absolutely loves President Trump."
Graham faces Republican Congressman Ralph Norman in the primary. And Ukrainian authorities say the death toll is rising from a Russian drone attack on a large shopping mall in central Ukraine today. At least 14 people have died and about 90 are injured. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil, one simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to Metamucil.com for more details.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Welcome back. 104 here in St. Louis. The poll question today on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. You can also text us your thoughts on this. Want all the different perspectives. In the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Stayed strong, grown, decreased, or you're not a Christian? We want to hear from each of you and your thoughts on this particular topic, because Fox News reported earlier this morning that since 2022, Christian annual U.S. Bible sales are up 41.6%. Religion and spirituality app downloads are up almost 80% since 2019. And contemporary Christian music, Spotify streams are up 50% since 2019. So makes me feel like something's brewing. I'm a Christian, so I believe the Spirit is always on the move, maybe a little bit more right now. But is faith having a trendy moment, and how will that stand the test of time? Let's get to somebody who can speak very highly on this. Al Robertson joins us once again, host of the Unashamed podcast. Of course, you know him from the Duck Dynasty family. Al, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you with us.
And it's always a blessing to be with you. You're fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for the time and the conversation too, because, you know, we talk a lot about news and politics here, and boy, does that just get to be a very heavy, repetitive adventure each and every day. And that's really, I think, what a lot of people listening right now, they're going through the muck and the mud of these news stories. And in the midst of all of this, there are reports that suggest that maybe faith is having a moment. What's your reaction to those statistics about people seeking out maybe some truth and some scripture?
Well, it's exciting, for a person who's dedicated their whole life to reaching people with good news. It's nice to see some in the midst of a lot of bad news, right? And we see it all the time. We have a podcast, obviously, called Unashamed, and we've been doing it for 8 years. And so I feel like, and there's a lot of other people that these new formats, that you get to be able to plug in and to listen and to hear things. And we've noticed that our audience is a lot of young people. And when I travel and then speak to audiences, they come up to me and they're very young. They're teenagers, they're early 20s. And they're like, please don't stop doing your podcast because, we're getting Bible there and it's changing our lives. And so, we're seeing the results of it. And look, we're just one of many that are part of the process.
It's interesting that you're talking about young people as well, because, I feel like maybe as time passes, you get older, maybe you are looking for a relationship, or you're trying to make ends meet, and you're looking for a job, or you have kids. Like, perspective changes on life each and every time. You start asking a lot of questions that don't have immediate answers to them, and maybe people turn to faith or spirituality of sorts. What are the young people? Do you see a consistency in what's driving young people to maybe ask these questions and find the Unashamed podcast?
Yeah, I think so. And I definitely think that everybody that kind of hits in their 20s, hits that time where you're questioning everything anyway, and you're kind of out from under the umbrella of how you grew up. And it could be good or it could be bad. I always tell people, you don't get a choice in the family that you're born into, but you can choose the forever family that you can be reborn into. And so I think everybody will question that at some point. I think when you start thinking about starting a family, looking for a career, spirituality is a big part of who we are. And of course, you and I, as Christians, we believe that God made us in his image. And so I've always thought there's like a homing beacon inside of every person.
Yeah.
To want to kind of connect to the creator, and how we were made. And so I think you're seeing that. And I think that's why this young, and another thing is, I think what we're seeing now kind of in politics and culture is it's such a stark choice now. Look at how many young people are committing themselves to, dead ideas and ideologies like socialism and communism, and, even things that are happening halfway around the world that, and yet they're committing their lives almost in a spiritual, religious way to these causes. And so I think when people look at that and kind of see the choice, it's a much better choice to have peace and contentment. Like my dad used to say, peace of mind is the greatest thing to have. Yeah. And I think people want that, and younger and younger.
So, I don't know if there's something taking place right now that is different than any other. The world's always going through hardships. We're always seeing catastrophes. Every once in a while, some part of that headline of that woman, the woman Clancy who murdered her 3 kids. As a mom, 4 kids, I just can't cover that story. My heart can't handle it. My soul can't hold it. So I don't really talk about it. I just wonder if there is a movement and a maybe it's even just the prominence, the availability. I'd credit Duck Dynasty for that. We were talking about that a little bit earlier in the show. I remember stumbling across your family show, and my jaw dropped the first time I saw it. And you were openly praying. Like, I waited for the catch or the hook, like the sell here. And the family sat around a beautiful meal, prayed, and then the show was over. And I'm like, they just prayed? We're publicly praying like right now in like secular entertainment. This is incredible. Do you feel like people are more, especially in the wake of Duck Dynasty and other shows like yours, maybe more comfortable saying this is our normal life?
Oh, I think so. And even the what I would call the Trump effect, which was the idea of somebody being able to just speak, even though his speech is a lot different, of course, than ours, but it's like you can speak what the truth is. And I think with our family, we were definitely sort of that leading edge because the whole cancel culture came about right around that time, and you started seeing it everywhere. And if you spoke out, especially about your faith, the enemy was there to try to shut you up. And so, but we didn't go anywhere. I mean, we were still there. People still loved us. We didn't go away. They tried to cancel Dad. It was just like, but he just got stronger. And he always said, how can you cancel me? My sins have been canceled on the cross. And so I think that mindset, I think we are seeing fruit from that now because you're seeing it across the board. We just had Ann Wilson on our podcast, and she's a tremendous, young up and rising country singer, but she puts God in her lyrics, and she's so unashamed about it. I mean, she will not bend. And early on in her career, she's just a teenager when she started. And, record people came in and started trying to tell her what she could post and what she couldn't. And she was like, no, I won't do business with anybody that tries to silence me talking about my faith. And look at her, she's like a rocket ship taking off. And so you're seeing more and more that her book, she had a book coming out called Rebel. And we laughed about it because it was like in the old days, if you had a country singer who said they were a rebel, it was usually always all this bad stuff. Now she's a rebel by being a believer and just being good, and so it is kind of ironic. But I think that's catching on with other young people too. I think, and look, Annie, we're just wait till 10 and 20 years till this crew of people who find God are then in our leadership and in our government positions and running our school boards. I mean, it's going to be a real change in America, and it's going to be so positive. I'm more excited now about my grandkids than ever. And I mean, a decade ago, I was more worried about it than ever. And it just shows you when a movement of God comes along, good things will happen.
Yeah, I know. It's like, ooh, what did we do to make this seem like it's sticking right now more than usual? And there's always that humbling moment where you're like, okay, I understand that there's not just some big muscle flex here on our part, that maybe when the Spirit moves, come hell or high water. We're speaking with Al Robertson right now. He's the host of the Unashamed podcast. I highly recommend a subscription to that podcast, and so you can listen to the conversations Al Robertson's having with his incredible guests on the regular. What's your advice? So I'm talking on a show here in St. Louis. We're in the Midwest. People are struggling. They're the big things, but there's also my paycheck runs out on Wednesday and I need money on Thursday and I get paid on Friday. That's difficult. I'm watching my kid go to back to school right now, and I'm worried that they're not going to fit in, or maybe they're facing a struggle. There's these everyday things that really culminate in these stressors for people who are just trying to keep, they want to live independent lives. They want to have that little American dream, but it just doesn't seem easy. And when they pile up, it kind of starts to make you question things. And maybe even if you have a faith, you're just like, God, I'm working as hard as I can. I'm giving it everything I got. Where are you right now? What's your advice to that person?
I think what you're describing is, I think any of us have some level of battle, or season in our life where we go through that. And I think that's why the biblical concept of contentment is so important. And that's where your faith can lead you, because your circumstances are going to change. Your career situation is going to change. Our economy is going to go up. It's going to go down. There's going to be a war that's going to affect the different ways that we live. And so if all we have is that, then we're probably going to be disappointed, and we're probably going to really fret, and we're really going to, not find good solutions for just the day-to-day problems. But if somehow we elevate our spirit to where we find contentment wherever we're at. And, Paul said in Philippians 4 that I've learned to find contentment whether I'm in need or whether I have plenty. And that contentment doesn't come from my circumstances. And so that's where the famous verse comes that says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. What he's really talking about is I can find contentment. And so that to your audience and to anybody listening, that's why I would always say you can find the ultimate truth, because you'll be ready when the challenge comes. I'm working on a sermon for this Sunday, and I'm in Daniel, and they were in captivity, and they were challenged to have to bow to culture, and everything was there, but they just said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to trust in God. And they were delivered from a fiery furnace. They were delivered from a lion's den. And it's the same thing with people today. So whatever your problems are, none of them are too big for God to handle. Yeah, and so you can do that. And that's where faith comes in, no matter what, whether you're in lean times or whether you're in times of plenty.
speaking with Al Robertson here on the Annie Frey Show. Okay, now let me ask you about the person listening right now who's like, Annie's talking about the Jesus thing again. But maybe there's just a little bit of Christ curious going on right there. Just like what is it? What I feel like I see this with people, and as a Christian, born into a Christian family, I've never not known it. But I just think that you can see what you're talking about there. There is a contentment about people. And maybe somebody's not feeling that contentment. They're not a Christian. They're very skeptical, maybe a little angry. If they wanted to just take a peek around the corner for the first time, what's your recommendation on how to take a peek?
Well, I think, look, I grew up in a non-Christian home. My dad famously was not a Christian until he was 29 years old. And we had a rough upbringing and a tough time, and it led to a lot of difficulty for me, even as a teenager. And so as I speak to people now as a 61-year-old man who's, been a pastor and taught the Bible my whole life, I didn't start that way. And until Dad's life changed and Mom's, it didn't change my pathway. And so, for the person out there that, has never experienced Christ and never experienced, what his grace can do for you, it's not just you, it's your family, it's your heritage, it's your future. And I tell you, it changes your whole perspective on everything. And I think as to how you get there, I mean, just look at the alternatives. Did we just show up, or did we just crawl out on a bank, as a small piece of a fish, or whatever, whatever evolution teaches? If that's it, and that's all you have, then it is going to be a depressing state. It is going to be all the current events and world events are all you're going to care about, because you have nothing bigger. And so what we're saying is, if there is a creator, if there is a designer, and we look around and it looks pretty well designed, and if that he indeed made us and wanted to have a relationship with us, I really think you should see about finding out how to make that connection. And you can do that by finding a church somewhere, or, just whatever, listen to our podcast or listen to Annie Frey, because you're going to hear people who deal with life every day, just like you're dealing with, but have this greater hope that, man, we believe in something far greater than just what happens around us in our culture.
Yeah. I think asking questions, and I mean, a lot of the questions might seem like they're questioning God, but God says, ask away and pray without ceasing. So I had a pastor one time who said, like, you shouldn't limit your prayers. Like, you don't need to couch your prayers because you don't want to ask for too much or whatever. You should open your heart fully and say, whatever is on your heart, give it up to God, and just that really changed the way I started praying bigger, and feeling closer in my ability to not have to come to God in prayer in a way that was super manufactured and prettied up, as if I need to pretty up my messy life. God already knows, so just give it all over to Him, and then just wait and see what happens. Opening up that heart.
And I love it. You ask you do a radio show. You constantly ask questions of guests and questions, and you hear things from your audience. And that's it. When Jesus was here, and he only did ministry for 3 years before he was killed and resurrected. But he asked over 300 questions alone in the book of John to the people around him. And they were constantly asking him questions as well. So if that's the way he interacted here, then he would want to continue that.
Al Robert, yeah. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. I think it's a refreshing conversation in the middle of a news cycle that is pretty burdensome. We'll get into an election. It'll just continue to get nastier and nastier. This is the grounding that I think we need, and you always provide a really great opportunity for us to do that here on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for injecting that into your day in, day out politics, because it's very important.
Well, we will be tuning in to the Unashamed podcast with Al Robertson. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Annie.
Take care. Al Robertson of the Unashamed podcast, of course, Duck Dynasty fame, at Beardless Bro. He's the beardless one. That's how he identifies himself, of course, among the Duck Dynasty family. Just a really great opportunity to discuss with him today some of these things that are actually in the news. The news story today being all of these different sorts of ways that you can try to connect with learning about faith, growing your faith. Christian annual U.S. Bible sales, Fox News reports, up 41.6% in 4 years. That's just from 2022. Spirituality app downloads up. Contemporary Christian music listening on Spotify up. What is this all about? Where is it coming from? We'd love your feedback on this. And the poll we're asking you about today, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Maybe it's gotten stronger. Maybe it's gotten weaker. Maybe you feel it's the same and strong as always. Maybe you're not a Christian at all. We want to hear from each of you at the YouTube live chat poll, Annie Frey YouTube channel. You can also text us at 314-241-9797. You can also text Ryan. Ryan, you ready for some Ask Us Anything questions for the 2 o'clock hour?
Yeah.
I almost said 4 o'clock hour. It's definitely Friday. I can feel it.
We're going into the Mark Reardon show?
No. No. Emphatic no. I just need to get my brain right. All right. Give us your feedback. We'll dip into it here in a minute. Don't go away. The Funny Bone, stlewisfunnybone.com. Great shows this weekend at both the streets of St. Charles as well as the Westport Funny Bone. You can always go to stlewisfunnybone.com, check out the schedule. Maybe if you're like me, it's like, oh, hey, we got a free Friday night or Saturday night. We got nothing. You want to go do something, get yourself some affordable. This is an affordable night out. Tickets to the St. Louis Funny Bone. Let's see, Willie Lynch, he's going to be, Willie Lynch Jr., at the streets of St. Charles Funny Bone tonight through Sunday. You can check Willie Lynch Jr. out. Kevin Hart called him the Langston Hughes with a punchline. Joe List is going to be at the Westport Funny Bone this Thursday, so yesterday through Saturday. So you can check him out at Westport. He's been in movies, stand-up comic, lots of YouTube content for you to check out. But there's a whole lot more where that came from. So if you're interested in seeing what's on schedule for this weekend, seeing what's on schedule coming up on the weekends here in the next few weeks, go to stlewisfunnybone.com and get your tickets. Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Just got done speaking with Al Robertson. What a pleasure to have him on the show.
Yeah, he's great.
Brad suggested that earlier today. I was a good guest on this topic that we're talking about, the YouTube live chat poll being, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? I mentioned earlier in the show that we would open the phone lines, and I'd like to do that right now regarding this question. How has your faith grown, decreased, stayed the same in the last 5 years? We've seen a few things since COVID. So we would love to have your thoughts on that. 314-241-9797. That's 314-241-9797. People call in. We'll try to get to those in the midst of the YouTube comments that are coming in with Brad. And Ryan, why don't you hit us with a text or two here?
This one says, the show wouldn't be the Annie Frey Show without y'all being real AF.
Is that a compliment?
Yes. Says, you have stayed true to that since day one, and I'm Team AFS, Annie Frey Show, for life because of it. Much love from Balls.
I already knew.
Yep.
I already knew.
Other side of the coin, though, I'm going to read one here. It says, Good afternoon, gang. I was born and raised with Christian faith. Although I didn't regularly display it, it was there. After a 31-year career in law enforcement, however, I've lost my faith over things that I have seen and experienced in that career. Since my retirement 5 years ago, so right what we're asking, 5 years, my faith has slowly started to return to me, although it is still not completely there, says Jack.
Jack, thank you for reaching out. It's a struggle because I think I when we talk about LEOs, when we talk about people who work in hospitals, one time it was after I had my son, and like the naive, brand new mom that I was, it was the happiest day of my life. Like I couldn't believe that I'm a mom. Like you just kind of, every time you think it, it's like a brand new Christmas morning. It's shocking and also unbelievable that this is now your new existence. And I said to the nurse in there, I'm like, this is like the happiest place to be. And I kind of got the full sentence out of my mouth, and I was like, this isn't the happiest place to be. I bet the highs and the lows are equally distant from the mean. That some of the sadness that exists in, the postpartum, the after you get out of labor and delivery, that there is some deep, deep sadness.
One more I'd like to read here from the text line. Lots of them. I'm just trying to
keep them coming
to catch them all. So thank you. But this one says, 5 years ago, I retired, had more time to listen to conservative radio, including Annie Frey Show, and delve back into my Bible studies from years ago. Both help manage the stress of today, and that is everywhere. That is from Teresa.
Like if going back to what the police officer said who had retired, gosh, we live such a soft existence here in this radio studio. The things that people professionally do and the things that they see, I couldn't see those things. I couldn't do it. I could not mentally and emotionally handle what they have to do and how they have to, it's just like, this is your job. It's kind of mind-blowing to me. If you want to give us a call, 314-241-9797 to weigh in on this topic. We'll go to Cordell. Cordell, thanks for calling the Annie Frey Show. Your thoughts on faith in the last 5 years. How has your faith evolved?
My faith was kind of evolving rapidly because of my wife. She's a very, very strong Christian. I grew up as a Christian. But she has really brought me along. But my faith took a turn 2 years ago, and I've been questioning God ever since because I lost my daughter and my 4 grandchildren in a fire, and I don't understand how God allowed that to happen, and I've been questioning that ever since.
Man, that's such a heavy moment. That's such a heavy life experience. Speaking about what those law enforcement officers, what those individuals are dealing with, I can't imagine that. And Cordell, I can't imagine what the burden on your heart is that, every day that you wake up, you have a same reality. I spoke about yesterday the Philippians 4:13 verse that says, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. That's often misused as a way to say you can do average things and succeed. Like it's a guarantee of success from God. That's not what it is. It's like the hardest things in the world that God can wrap you up in those moments and carry you through. But I also think that there's another phrase, a biblical phrase that I lean into, which is a peace that passes all understanding. That, like, how in the world could you, Cordell, have peace in a situation like what you're dealing with? Because you have such righteous anger and sadness.
Yes.
That the only way that, Cordell, you could have that, I think, is if it were given to you, because you are righteous in that moment. And I will pray for you, Cordell. I'll pray for a peace that you have peace, and it makes no sense for you to have that peace. And I would encourage you to understand, or to be able to hold in your heart that the sufferings and the struggles that we experience are not God-ordained suffering and struggles, but he is the safety net that can pull you out of them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Cordell, thanks for listening to our show.
Thank you.
We'll pray for you.
Thank you.
I'm so sad to hear that about you, but I hope that there is a peace that I always, in my mind, I'm like, it's a peace that doesn't even make sense. Like, what kind of sense can you make out of a situation like that?
I'm thankful that Cordell called, because there's a lot of people listening that probably hear that and want to now pray for Cordell, where he's in a spot that he's not going to call into a radio show and not want answers. He's calling because he's like, this is maybe the defining thing of my life concerning God, and I haven't figured it out yet. And he's being honest with us about it, so let's pray for him.
And I think, too, that Cordell needs to hear that he's right to be angry. There's story after story. I mean, Job is the most obvious one in the Bible, where there is suffering and struggles that are inflicted upon God-fearing people. And it's easy to question God in those moments. And I think, God doesn't tell us not to be angry. He tells us he can be there with you in your anger. He can help you with that. But that's all a product of a broken world and a broken society. I want to talk to David here. Let's get to David's phone call on the Annie Frey Show. David, thanks for calling the show. How has your faith evolved in the last 5 years?
I would say that it's about the same. I was calling because some of your conversations brought to mind the book from C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity. I don't know if you've read that.
Yeah, it's great.
There's a particular chapter in there that talks about how Christianity and faith and righteousness is easier for some people, and for some people it's very hard. And for some people, just not shooting up, or just not being a slave to addiction or anger or lust or whatever is such a struggle that just not being a horrible person is an immense victory. And for some people, their natural state is sort of almost a model for what people consider to be righteousness. And he calls for grace in that situation. And I was talking to the screener about how it's been just a struggle, and the only thing that faith is the only thing that's gotten me through. So it's really kind of been about the same. And I consider, faith is a gift, and that it's not something that you can choose to have. And that's a completely different, deeper theological, conversation. But
David, no, you're absolutely fine. We welcome you and your conversation here. And I think when you're speaking, I have a feeling that you are touching and reaching into so many people's minds and hearts when you talk in this capacity in a way that is very much more effective than anything that I can say, because what you're talking about is struggle. I don't know if you're saying you specifically, David, have a struggle with a certain kind of addiction of some kind, but there are a lot of people listening who certainly do. And when I hear you say that for some people, like that Christian righteousness just kind of seems like a way of life, very easy. Yeah. And for others, you're struggling with these temptations, these things that have permeated your existence and your every thought. and your goal, your mission is to beat the next thought. And then when you get done with that, you got to do it immediately again, over and over and over again. Like those, I think we kind of talk about those in casual conversation. It's like trying to defeat your demons, that type of a thing. I will tell you my biblical perspective of this is that the struggle, that if that were you going through that addiction, that there is no difference in the line of necessary redemption and grace and mercy that divides Christ from everyone else. There is no closer proximity that person who just has this righteousness as a way of life, they are not any closer to the line of needed redemption than you are. You are no further behind than anyone who looks like they have it all together. You're no closer, you're no further behind. And God's desire for grace for you and mercy for you is as passionate as it is for anybody else who's on the opposite line of perfect, and there's only one person who's been on that line of perfect. I think that in a secular world that Christianity often gets wrapped up in the, gosh, I just don't think I'm good enough. Like, I keep trying and I'm working so hard at being good enough and doing the right things. The acknowledgement of that brokenness is what should amplify a collective understanding of a need for someone who makes it perfect for you, because you will never make it perfect on your own. I will never make it perfect on my own. The people who look like they've got it all together, I mean, honestly, that in and of itself can be a very, very toxic sin. The perception of one's life that, like, I have to present this existence that I have like I have it all together. That is a very, very toxic way to live, because it's intoxicating to think that you're doing that yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see that now in the secular version of it. It's even more poisonous because people look at each other and they try to compare to each other, but they don't have a central anchor. They don't have Christ as a touch point. So it's all their own opinion, their own idea of what is important, their own little gods in their life.
Yeah.
and so it's just free floating, this chaos and comparison with each other, and nobody is ever good enough because everybody else always seems better.
Yeah.
The church is not a whole lot different because people still are fleshly. They still have their human sides, and they try to compare to each other. Oh, that one's just so much better than me. How does that person have it all together? And I just can't seem to get it. But they don't realize that person doesn't have it either.
Yeah.
The only standard is just the blood of Christ, and it's a good thing too.
Amen to that. David, thank you for the phone call. We'll pray for you too.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back and get a little bit more of your feedback on this poll that we're asking you today. In the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Lots to discuss here. We've got Ethan Sports and Local on tap. If we get more phone calls, we'll take those as well. So we're running a little bit behind here. So keep it on the Annie Frey Show. Keep it on 97.1 FM Talk. Lots of feedback coming in on the text line, 314-241-9797. And the YouTube comments, if it's not your thing to call in, text us or comment on the YouTube channel. We'd be happy to continue to feature those throughout the course of the rest of the show. So stick around. We'll be right back. Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. Easy to reach, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Stewie's waiting for your phone call to help you improve your mortgage position. If you are looking to purchase a new home, I want to encourage you to give Stewie the opportunity to earn your business, because right now with a 30-year loan on a new home purchase, you're going to be able to qualify for the Bagel Loan, of course. No closing costs anytime you use the Bagel Loan. But Stewie is also looking to offer you a 1% discount for the first year of that 30-year loan on your interest rate. So an incredible way to save and smart business move to call 314-324-4440 or text 314-324-4440. The Bagel Loan, whether you're using on a new home purchase or mortgage refinance, that is there with $0 in closing costs. So you're going to enjoy a really, really impeccable affordable new mortgage on your home, refinance on your home, even if you need to cash out to pay down some debt. Stewie is there and waiting to make that a reality for you. You can Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
As we've been asking you today, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Has it stayed strong, grown, decreased, or I'm not a Christian? This is the YouTube live chat poll of the day, and of course, we are encouraging you to let us know a little bit about yourself through this poll as well. 314-241-9797. It is 1:41. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
So we've been talking quite a bit about faith here and working our way through this YouTube poll. In the last 5 years, how's your faith evolved on these numbers that Fox News has reported today? A huge, dramatic increase in people seeking out Bibles for purchase, apps that are spiritually and religious based, streaming music that is Christian. I mean, the music might just be like Forrest Frank is a huge, huge deal. So maybe the Christian, this is a shot at the entire Christian music industry. Maybe the music is better. or maybe the music that is being put out in the Christian genre sense is targeting an audience, a younger audience in a way that it hadn't been before. So, because I think that the Forrest Franks and the people who kind of espouse the type of music that he does, it's targeted to a much younger generation. And I feel like that in and of itself might be bringing new people into the mark. The YouTube live chat is got comments on it as well on this. In the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Brad, what do you got?
Yeah, Jennifer says, my faith has grown immensely over the past few years, and the greatest part is that I am now more outspoken about it than ever before. I refuse to sit on the sidelines while our faith is challenged and torn down. I'm committed to standing firm, speaking truth, and living out what I believe.
It's good. From Facebook, too. Thanks, Jennifer.
Yep. And then I have another one here from Eric who says, I've been a Catholic my whole life, still strong as ever. And he used the strong arm emoji.
All right.
And Shiny Guy said, my wife and I just bought 3 Bibles a month ago. 2 for our grown-up kids, 1 for us. Just saying.
Shiny Guy is responsible for the 41.6% increase in Bible sales.
Get a bigger family, Shiny Guy.
Text line?
This one says, thanks for the helpful and wise conversation. Keep them coming. We need them so much. These conversations, I'm assuming, is what they're referring to, particularly to go out beyond these intense, overwhelming, sometimes frightening events of the day. Gives hope and comfort. That's cool. This person says, my faith in God is greater than ever, but it took a 12-step program to introduce us.
That's good.
Yeah, great stuff.
Congratulations to you on that. Hope you're doing well.
And right before those 2 texts, somebody says, my faith has grown, found a great church in Hillsboro, United Methodist, that lets me sing and play harmonica for the glory of God.
I think it's scriptural that Jesus loves a good harmonica. I'm not sure. Let's check.
Yeah, we'll check, but in the meantime,
look at my concordance for harmonica.
Yes, John Popper.
Any more?
Yeah, but I haven't there's so many coming in that I'm having trouble keeping up.
I've got a couple.
Okay, go ahead. On the chat?
Actually, I say one. Yeah, it's just one from the chat. It's from Joe. He says, my faith has improved. I'm understanding more of what Jesus did for me. Lean into Jesus, and you can't go wrong.
All right. Well, keep those votes coming in here on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat. The options that we've given you in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? You can say it stayed strong, It's grown, it's decreased, or you can just tell us you're not a Christian. I know that there are people listening right now who are not of the Christian faith. You might have a different faith, or you might just not feel like the Christian faith is for you. I understand that that's out there. You can be heard as well. You just go to youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, Frey, and in the live chat of today's live broadcast, that's where you vote. If you do subscribe to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, if you turn on notifications, whenever we go live every day, you'll get a notification to your phone. You can open it up, see the live chat there, vote, and then you have been counted. All right, let's take a quick break here. Ethan, sports, and local next on the Annie Frey Show. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. I talked to you a lot about the waterproofing that they'll do for your basement, but there are a lot of other foundation repair services that Home Shield Foundation Repair can offer you. Matt Hayes is the owner of Home Shield Foundation Repair. This is a local St. Louis business. Home Shield Foundation Repair is of St. Louis. I stress that. He's got an incredible team that, whether it's cracked and settled concrete at your house that's now caused a trip hazard or some sort of safety liability, they can come fix that in a day with a system called polyjacking, where they take a polyurethane foam, they inject it under the concrete, they raise it up. They'll put a 5-year warranty on their work there to make sure that that liability isn't there any longer. They also can help with piering services. They go above and beyond to restore the integrity of the foundation of your home. If you've noticed some cracks in your walls or settling in your foundation, you need to get this fixed before the problem gets worse. Home Shield Foundation Repair can help you with that. And of course, for your basement waterproofing needs, Home Shield Foundation Repair is ready to take your call. 314-271-9900, online at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
Wait, there he goes.
Is this me?
So let's do a little bit of Ethan Sports and Local here at the end of a 1 o'clock hour.
Hold up. Check it out. Sports and Local.
And now, Banjo Ethan plays the spoons.
Oh, and a harmonica.
Yeah, Banjo Ethan. Play the harmonica now.
With a spoon?
Yep.
How to...
I have a plastic spoon right there.
You know,
Just one,
Ryan, I'm not very
yogurt on it.
familiar. Would you be able to show me how to do it, and then I can try it off of that?
Thank you for the setup. No.
Okay. All right. Then we're just not going to do that. Hi, guys. How's it
Hi.
going?
Sup?
Okay. We have stories to talk about.
Mhm.
Holy cow. Yesterday's baseball game, I think that I aged at least 3 or 4 years in a 20-minute period. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
So now instead of looking 25, I look 29. That doesn't really hurt me much. I mean, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that.
Maybe
So-
one day I'll start making people think that Ethan is 50 years older than he really is.
Yesterday, you
Instead of
posted that picture for National Radio Day. That was the first time I'd ever seen myself in AI.
Are you okay with it?
It took me. I was like, "Whoa, is that me?" I was like, "Who is that with all that?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's me." So.
I made another one. It's just, I've got the thumbnail up. I just threw it up here right now to remind people to text us their Ask Us Anything questions to 314-241-9797. And I told AI to make us all the cartoon versions of ourselves. So you have to take a look at it too.
Sure, that looks absolutely great.
It's good enough, and that's really what I was going for.
The Cardinals won yesterday's marathon game at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati by a final score of 10-9. This was a 5-game series. It started with a doubleheader on Monday and just concluded yesterday. The Cardinals took 3 out of 5, and yesterday's game was an absolute mess. The Cardinals at one point had a 4-0 lead. An error led to runners getting on base. A couple more hitters later, it's 5-4. Cardinals are trailing after a Matt McClain grand slam. Cardinals are down at one point. We fast forward to the 9th now. Runners are on 2nd and 3rd in the top of the 9th for the Cardinals. 2 down in the inning, and J.J. Weatherholt hits a fly ball to deep left center field, and it pops in and out of the glove of Dane Myers, and 2 runs score. The Cardinals take the lead on an absolute gift. They would end up having a rally get started from that point, and they would score 6 runs in the 9th to take a 10-5 lead. And you're thinking, all right, got this in the bag. It's going to be a win.
10-5.
Cruise on to Philadelphia, and the bottom of the 9th was also a disaster. George Soriano was able to retire.
Say George Soros.
Nope, not that George. Was able to retire.
How did he ruin this?
Yeah. He's rubbing hands on everything.
Was able to retire the first 2 batters, or record the first 2 outs, should I say, and then was not able to do so from there. Riley O'Brien would have to come in. 4 runs would score in the inning. The bases were loaded with 2 outs, and the Cardinals would barely sneak out a win when Jordan Walker would catch a fly ball at the one track to end the game.
Quote
it was
Ethan Hannaford.
brutal.
Woof.
Brutal. Yep. I gave it the award for both the biggest win of the year and the ugliest win of the year. But a win is a win, and the Cardinals are now 2.5 games out of the wild card race.
What's our magic number?
Chasing. I don't know, Annie.
Okay, never mind.
Isn't it a reverse magic number when you're not in the playoffs?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is an elimination number.
It's an elimination. Yeah, it's not a magic number.
Annie asked that yesterday for anyone wondering why I was a little bit short in my response.
Ethan is just
to
a hostile
her.
man.
Yeah, I am pretty aggressive.
It's mostly just because I'm a woman.
That's in the entirety
34.
of it. That's the
34?
elimination number?
No, that's their magic number.
How does that make sense?
I don't know.
Okay, whatever. We're not going to explore
AI.
that. We're not going to explore that right now. But they play the Philadelphia Phillies this weekend, and that's the team they're chasing.
How does that
so
make sense?
Great opportunity for them to cut into that deficit, and we'll see what happens. Should be fun this weekend at Citizens Bank Park.
Cardinals going to be sellers at the deadline?
That happened at the beginning of the month, Ryan. You're 20 days late. And they were sellers.
Better take a test.
So are you talking about next deadline, or are we talking about the
this
deadline?
One by so far that I'm just waiting for the next one now.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know.
Deadline. Trading deadline next year.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Okay, I appreciate that. In other Busch Stadium-centered news, how about this one? 60 years ago, the Beatles made their only visit to St. Louis, performing for a crowd of 23,143 fans. They performed 11 songs under a makeshift canopy as heavy rain slammed St. Louis and showed no signs of stopping. This was one of their final stops.
How many years ago?
This was 60 years ago. So that would have been 1966. Yep.
What if anyone listening was there?
Oh, yeah, I bet there were.
314-241-9797. Text us and tell us you were. We probably won't believe you.
The pictures of that night are just slogged. It's just constant rain, apparently.
Have you ever seen a picture of that night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're in color, too, because some of the early ones, they're all black and white tour photos, but that one's in color.
This was at Busch Memorial Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when it had just finished being built at that time. So was considered at the time, a brand new stadium, and but was actually one of the final performances of all 4 of them being on tour together. I think it was like 8 days later that they had their final stop on this tour. And they also had to rush to St. Louis because it had been pouring the night before in Cincinnati. So they actually ended up performing 2 concerts on the same day. They performed in Cincinnati earlier that day, rushed to St. Louis, and then performed that night.
They had to fly?
I don't know.
I feel like that's an obvious question, but it's not as obvious to my dumb brain as it
Doesn't
should
21 or 23,000 seem so small for a baseball stadium? I mean, like Busch
23,000?
Busch Stadium fit 50,000 people, but I don't know if maybe the rain impacted it or if they only had people on
It's a good question. I don't know.
The Cleveland Guardians Stadium. Have you ever been to that one?
Progressive
the new
Field?
one?
I have not been there.
My
Pretty
husband and I
small
went
ballpark,
there.
though.
Oh, it's so small, but I loved it. I would say it was cozy in a complimentary kind of way. It just seems like it's built for every seat in the house to have a really positive experience. But you could never do that in St. Louis.
Why?
Because it's too small. I mean, in my mind, where the Cardinals are still competing at a high level and a postseason level with regularity, like, oh my gosh, I cannot imagine what those seats would cost.
For different reasons, Fenway Park was very similar. Only seats 37,000, one of the smallest ballparks in the country. So very similar, but obviously for different reasons. And then the last thing, real quick, the Savannah Bananas are returning to Busch Stadium.
Anyone going?
This weekend as well.
No.
I went last year, and it was incredible. If you're going for the first time this year, you're going to have a great time. I got about halfway through the game, and I was like, I am overstimulated.
Okay.
There's no break.
It's 2 hours of nonstop, but it caps at 2 hours.
Non-stop. Yeah. There are so many cool things about it. I bought the tickets for last year, and I don't even think I knew that the lottery had happened this year. But a really incredible thing to witness, but a lot.
They're facing the Loco Beach Coconuts. 7 o'clock start on both Friday and Saturday night.
And they stream on YouTube, don't they?
They do stream on YouTube, and they'll also both be available on the ESPN app or Disney+.
314-241-9797. Send us your Ask Us Anything questions. We'd love to have them. We'll be right back.
News alert. Ballroom construction can continue. I'm Carmen Roberts. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. The White House can continue construction on President Trump's $400 million ballroom project for now. And Roberts signed a temporary order today allowing work to continue while the court considers an emergency appeal from the Trump administration. Lower courts had ordered a halt to the project, finding that it must have congressional approval, and Chief Justice Roberts' ruling is set to take effect today. As the Trump administration prepares to impose tough economic sanctions on Iran called Economic D-Day, Vice President J.D. Vance took the administration's economic campaign message to his hometown of Middletown, Ohio.
The National Weather Service. Vice President J.D. Vance touting the economic agenda of the Trump administration ahead of the midterm elections. It's a city he grew up. He was highlighting the tax relief we've seen, deregulation, and a push for domestic manufacturing.
In just 18 months, we have seen an explosion of rebuilding in the American heartland. We have seen trillions with a T, trillions of new dollars of investment pour into the United States of America.
While the vice president talks up Rust Belt jobs, Wall Street is reading between the lines and watching.
Fox Business's Darren Botello at the White House as stocks are bouncing back from yesterday's sell-off. The Dow up 562 points. Rare tornado surprised people on New York's Long Island and in Dover, Delaware yesterday. Fox Weather's Michael Estime has more from Dover.
The National Weather Service has yet to survey the damage here, so we don't know the EF rating. Again, the damage here is extensive. They don't typically see things like this here. If there is one bit of good news, it is that nobody was seriously injured.
In Virginia, lightning struck and killed a man. America's listening to Fox News.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil, one simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to metamucil.com for more details.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We're waiting for your Ask Us Anything questions on the text line, 314-241-9797. We'll get to that here in this hour. So if you have something you've always wanted to ask all of us, one of us, some of us, 314-241-9797 or the Annie Frey YouTube live chat. The poll question we're asking you today is, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? We did this video, or we put a video out after a conversation we had. Ryan, I think it was a Wiggins America, and it was things that Americans don't like that Europeans do or something. Is that about?
Oh, yeah. It was, yeah, basically.
We put this video out of you talking about nudity.
Yeah.
We have crept into some European judgmental space where people are explaining to me that nudity isn't sexualized in Europe the way it is in America, and that like pornography comes from America more than anywhere else, and they're criticizing that element, like, oh, we like nudity here but not there. And I'm like, I see what you're saying, except for the fact that the sexualization of nudity in America that you continually point out to me in the comments on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook or wherever is more indication why we don't need to see nudity everywhere. I don't know. It seems to have struck a nerve, a naked nerve in Europe, which, fine.
Somebody that day when we were talking about that commented this kind of not super long story, but it was one that enough that I was like, I don't know if we could just slip that in there. But they talked about how when they were working in California a few years ago, they said, yeah, I worked at a club that allowed nudity in, I think it was California.
A strip club?
No, just like a rich people club. And he said, I've seen more old, naked, rich people playing tennis than I need to. I'm like, really? I did not know this existed in the United States.
Naked tennis?
Naked tennis is what he
Seems
specifically.
risky.
Yeah. And
This isn't X's and Y's, but I just have questions that I don't want answers to.
yeah, and you know, you are kind of bearing it all. Also,
kind of,
but not just for the other patrons. There's apparently staff there who are clothed, and you're just there naked anyway.
It's because they have sense. I'm not doing
and they
it.
need pockets probably to accept tips.
Murad Ali, chef and owner of the Class Soiree, class as an abbreviation, Soiree Steakhouse in Hollywood, Florida, and Toshiba Hart, the hostess for nude dining events held at the establishment, discussed the naked dining offering. The Class Soiree Steakhouse, located in Hollywood, Florida, welcomes diners to fully disrobe and eat a meal in the nude on the first Monday of each month.
Just Mondays?
I mean, of all of the activities that I want to participate in on Monday, it's not like, gosh, I'd really like to eat in the nude tonight. Is there anywhere we can do that?
Maybe it's if it's a long weekend, you know.
While guests arrive wearing clothes, they're free, quote, to drop their clothes, end quote. After arriving at the restaurant, Toshiba Hart, who hosts the monthly event, told Fox News Digital during an interview on Wednesday while sitting alongside Chef Ali, the owner of the establishment. Hart said she goes, quote, totally nude at the event, but noted that, quote, if it gets a little chilly, she dons a robe.
Well, why you have control over the thermometer, ma'am.
Or you could wear pants. Class Soiree Steakhouse, let's see. She noted that only she and the guests are undressed while the chefs and servers are fully clothed.
I was getting ready to ask that. Thank you.
You frying anything in there, chefs?
Is the chef naked?
Ali explained, no. That Hart, who does not work at the steakhouse on regular days, is the, quote, head of the new dining events. She sells the tickets and gives the restaurant a cut of the funds. Hart said the tickets cost $150 for an individual woman, $250 for an individual man, and $300 for two people attending the event together.
That sounds about typical.
She described the event as, quote, a fine dining experience.
I wonder genuinely how good the food is if you need all this hullabaloo.
There's one more line. This is the last line of the article. Ali remarked that, quote, this is not your grandpa's steakhouse.
My grandpa was a nudist. So.
I don't believe it. We just heard about the old nudist tennis players.
Yep. And they love eating in the buff.
It's just such a naive question. Why would you want to be nude in public? I mean, because there has to, to me, I'm trying to think objectively about this. Like, why would somebody want to do it? And I'm thinking that the reason you want to do it is to see other nude people. But there has to be, these people have to have a sense of, I want to be nude in front of other people, because you can be nude in your house as much as you really want to.
Yeah, you can.
I don't love the inflection on the way you said that. It just really is uncomfortable for me. What? Get your act together.
You can, though. You really can be naked in your house anytime you want it. And you know, you could even leave the windows open if you wanted to.
Is this
That's
a
up to you.
deviancy?
Yes, a little bit. I think, though, if I'm trying to find, I always try to find the best. I'm trying to find the best in this story, too.
The best joke?
No, the best in the heart of man and
off.
woman in this situation. Because what I can find here, Annie, is there some sense in everyone that they're just trying to get back to purity?
Mm-mm.
That they
this
want
is,
to get back to.
This is an exercise in purity pursuit.
They're saying, this is the way I came into the world. This is the natural order of creation.
Wouldn't the most awkward part of this be getting into the restaurant and then undressing?
Yeah.
Or maybe the awkward part is, well, I guess we got to go be among the civilized people and put our clothes back on.
Oh, no. I think the most awkward part
Got a little barbecue sauce right there.
Yep. That's you know where I'm headed. Is that if you go in with that mindset, because you can't go in being all pervy. You can't be like, oh, I'm here to see the naked people, and I'll just take mine off too if that's what it takes. You can't say that. You're not going to do that. You're going to say something. You're going to say something real.
You got to mask it.
Real hippie, like, we're just getting back to our true selves here. We're just getting back to nature. But then you're in a restaurant. You should be outside naked and not eating fondue, because the fact that you're indoors at a restaurant naked.
What are some safe naked foods?
Well, I think a good hearty filet is probably pretty good.
Sizzling on your plate?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to eat drippy stuff, like you said. Stuff with a lot of sauces.
Isn't a good steak got a little
Yeah, it's going to have some juice, some of the juice. You're not going to eat a dry steak, I guess. You're right. What about a couple of chicken tenders?
This is not your grandpa's steakhouse. Would you like chicken fingers? No, I'd like chicken nuggies.
That's how you know what they're going to order chicken fingers. If they're naked.
Dipping your chicken fingers
No,
in
you got to
some
eat
ranch.
them dry. No.
That doesn't sound good.
A dry sandwich?
You guys have
possibly?
problems with men costing $250 and women costing $150?
Some Teddy Grahams?
I think it's a necessary upcharge.
Yeah,
Andy.
otherwise everybody's cheap. Everybody's the same, and that's a hot dog meal.
I'm gonna try to say this in vague terms.
You're gonna fail. I already know this.
You are.
Women should be free.
Okay, that's where I'm going here. I had a friend who used to work at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
When she was working at the hotel, she told me, "You're not gonna believe what happened last Friday night or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, tell me." She goes, "Well, there was a club that decided to meet here, and it was, yes, that kind of club, a swingers club." And she was like, and I was like, "Well, how does that work with the other guests? Like there's other people there." And she said, "No, they actually rented out an entire floor of the hotel, and you could not go on that floor unless you had like the wristband or whatever they had on. You got to wear it somewhere."
I'm looking for the ice machine.
They said the ice machine was up here.
Level?
I just wanted a Mounds. Oh, there's some Almond Joy. So anyway, she said that was the nature of it, is that if a guy came in with a woman, no, that's not what it was. Only guys could come in with a woman. Because otherwise,
other dudes were
it would just be all
guys were like, "I'm here for the party."
Yes, and so that was she told me like these things that she had discovered about that world in this encounter.
Isn't this a perfect example of the biology? The difference between men and women is biological. And when you say that you're going to have a nude meal and you're going to charge $100 less for women than men, you are conceding that we are biologically driven in emphatically different ways.
Yes, 100%.
Like, I don't need the WNBA doesn't need to have a board meeting. The Supreme Court justice doesn't need to become a biologist. Just go to the nude steak dinner in Florida.
But it's so
and you will
funny.
understand the difference between men and women.
Because the minute they say that rule, women get in free or women drink free or, men have to pay more, whatever it is for this nude event. Nobody questions why. Everybody knows why.
You're probably, as a male, more enticed to go because they're offering an incentive for women to show up. Because the presence of naked people, it's not enough for women to just go. It's also not enough to keep men from showing up. They'd risk being around naked dudes for the possibility that a woman's like, well, it's a little cheaper for me. I might go do that. Like, men are like, I'll risk it. No woman is sitting here going, that might be worth a shot. That's not happening.
What is the conversation like between tables? Or do you talk to other tables? Are you only talking to the one you came with?
I don't think that we could even begin to understand the answer to your question. We're not wired that way. It's probably incredibly normal conversation, which would make it weirder for people like us.
Oh, hey, Carla. Isn't this great? Didn't know you'd be here.
How are the kids?
How are the kids doing?
Oh, my gosh. Send us your Ask Us Anything question. If it's, would you go to a nude dinner? The answer is no. Don't ask us that question. We've already answered it. 314-241-9797. Send us a text. Back in a minute. The exercise coach, my new coaches, and helping me make sure I get my workouts done each week. I love the people at the Exercise Coach. There are 8 locations for the Exercise Coach here in the St. Louis area. And if you've been thinking about trying to build up some strength and muscle, maybe you've been on a GLP-1 and you've been pushing the protein, but you got to keep up with that muscle build, but you don't have a million minutes to do this. With the Exercise Coach, they are committed to transforming the way that you age, and it starts with strength. The Exercise Coach offers a smarter, personal approach to fitness with just 2 20-minute sessions per week. I can attest to this. They really get it done that quickly. They'll help you build strength, improve your fitness, and help you get through everyday life. And your first 2 sessions are free. There are 8 locations throughout the greater St. Louis area. If you search the Exercise Coach near me, you're going to be able to find the one closest located to your convenience, and you're going to be well on your way. And remember, those first 2 sessions being free, there's no reason not to start. They get done so quickly. Mention Annie when you go and just let them know where you heard about them. It's the Exercise Coach. I'm doing it. I hope you'll join me with the exercise closest to you. Just Google it. The Exercise Coach near me.
Next question.
Question.
It's a legitimate question.
Next question.
Next question, please.
Next question on the Annie Frey Show.
Shame on you for putting that Kamala Harris laugh in there.
It'll be there forever.
Oh, I don't know if it will.
Until the next time she runs.
Oh, God.
Deal? Deal.
Double shame. Double shame. You can text us your next question. Ask us anything questions at 314-241-9797 or throw them up there on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat. We love taking your questions. Our questions are usually pretty goofy. Ryan, you want to start us off? Yours or the text line? Your choice.
First question from the text line. Would any of you go to an all-expense-paid 5-star nude beach resort?
No. I'm not being nude in public.
I would. Well, you don't have... The question is
Are we doing this as a show?
Yeah. The question would be, would you go if you didn't have to be nude, though? Everybody's nude but you. But it's all paid.
No. I do not want to. I don't want to be a party to that. I can't even say it.
Man, I don't know. It's all paid.
No. No.
Pretty good food.
It's a hard no from everybody, but Ryan.
No.
Yeah, it's a soft no.
It's a no, like a sweeten the deal for me kind of a no.
Mm-hmm.
You can sweeten the deal for me. Everybody has to wear clothes, and then I would consider it.
Well, if everybody was wearing clothes and you're doing an all-expense paid 5-star beach resort, I'm not sure why I'd say no to that.
Brad, you got a question?
Yeah, I got one here from the text line. It says, how often do you find a science experiment in your refrigerator? You know, those moldy leftovers that sometimes you're not sure what they are.
I can't handle cleaning out the refrigerator. So how often do I find them? Not very. My family, well, it's pretty much my husband and my son. They're pretty good on manning the leftovers. Legit. So not terribly often.
Next question.
Are you going to answer it?
What was the question again? I'm reading these. I'm sorry. There's a lot coming in.
Welcome to the show. Your participation is welcome.
I can't hear you. The music's too loud.
I know, but I'm testing something right now, so you're just going to have to push through. Look into Brad's eyes when he's asking you a question,
I don't want
Brad.
to do that. That's weird.
Ryan, look at me.
But you'd be naked on a beach with a bunch of people?
I wouldn't have to look him in the eye.
He's like,
where are you looking at him?
Paid for. You're getting paid to sit here and talk to me.
Look
so
at
me
Brad wherever you want to look at him, but
All right.
answer his question.
How often do you find a science experiment in your refrigerator? Those moldy leftovers that sometimes you're not sure what they are.
Oh, yeah. Once a week.
What, do you take care of them?
Yeah.
Where do they
mostly.
go? Outside? Down the drain?
In the trash. In the trash. They're not, because I deal with it often enough, they're just food that we're not going to eat anymore. It's not awful. But it'll be fruit usually that's in the back of the upper rack that nobody's thought about. It's just start kind of getting that frost on it that nobody's going to eat.
All right, my question. What's your favorite place, the you place, in your home? Like, where is Ryan's spot? When you get the opportunity to choose where you are and what you're doing, where is your mini sanctuary in your home?
So we just got a big couch that's real deep that you can sit back in. You know, because our former couch when we had the kids little, they just are kids and they puked on it, and we just lived through it long enough to where it was like, okay, we've gotten through the baby stage. Now we're gonna get a new couch. So we got one that's real deep, and we all love sitting on that thing because we can all get on it, all 5 of us, and sit back real far. You can almost fall asleep in that thing.
Yeah.
And I've got my spot on that couch.
Do you is it your spot? Like, if the kids are sitting there and you walk in, do they get up and move?
It's new enough that they're testing that. But I got my spot, and I will ask them, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, you good. They know.
Jared and I both have our spots.
Yeah.
If the kids will sit there, but then when we walk in the room, they will relocate. Or my daughter, my oldest, Jensen, if she's sitting in my spot, she kind of looks at me like, are you going to make me move? And I'm always like, move. Get out of my spot. Yeah. Do you have a spot in your house?
Yeah, it's in the man cave. I will say it's my computer desk in my man cave because I'm usually in my good space when I'm there because I'm playing games with friends and chatting and laughing and having a good time. And then I also have a diffuser in there. It's going to sound so lame.
That is the most masculine thing I've ever heard.
It gets better. Stay with me here. I found this company that makes scents oils that are from Disney. Different Disney scents, and I will put in pirate auction in this thing, and it'll smell kind of like the pirate auction on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and I will play video games, and it just is a nice, good, calm place and fun place to be.
All right.
Sounds pretty great.
Mine is my spot. which I have determined it is next to the fireplace, on the couch, facing the TV. Got my counter, my like little shelf there so I can have my things there. If I'm thinking about getting home, I'm thinking most specifically about being in my spot. Kids can cuddle up on me. That's fine, but that's my spot.
This is a question specifically for Annie.
Okay.
Would you rather have a tarantula sleep in your bed overnight?
Nope. We've already done this.
Or listen to Ryan eat corn nuts for 24 hours?
Corn nuts for 24 hours.
Okay. Follow-up question is for me. It says, would you rather eat the corn nuts or be the spider and watch Annie freak out?
Oh, God.
Rather eat corn nuts.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Hard pass.
Now, this segment's sponsored by corn nuts.
Brad?
What is a skill or talent you don't have but really wish that you did?
Unicycle. Done.
Stop it. Be for real now.
I really would like to do that.
No.
I tried when I was in my 20s, and my brother could do it, and I couldn't.
There's got to be something more practical or more useful than that.
I'd like to be a doctor and be able to find the cure for cancer.
You're such a fuddy-duddy.
Be serious.
You're acting like this because you don't like the level of the music, and I can identify it.
You think that I'm joking when you say that I would really like to go back and start over and become a doctor and study cancer? I have thought about it.
It's not a hobby. It's not a skill.
I would like to do it. Or
Whatever.
ride a unicycle.
I'm turning your microphone off. I have power. And you know what? Brad, do you have one?
Yeah, I do. It's musicianship. Like I like listening to music. I like being able to sing, but I cannot sing. I can hear myself saying and know that I'm not there. That's not right, but I cannot for the life of me make my voice do what it needs to do to make it right. The other side of that is, too, I'd love to just be able to pick up an instrument and be able to play it and play a song that I like or write a song and do something like that.
Gosh, I feel like everything that I would like to do really just is overarching. I just wish I had more patience to be bad at things for long enough to be good at them.
You're asking for a genuine human quality that you could have, though. That's patience.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Okay.
I have patience. I have patience for my kids and most nothing else. My husband has patience for pretty much anything but my kids, which is really, like, if you think about it, great tag team. But it just kind of baffles me. Read the question again because I think I have a good answer for it.
Yeah, what is a skill or talent that you don't have but you really wish you did?
I don't know if this is a skill or a talent, but I wish that I had the propensity to sit down and read books. Is that a skill or a talent?
Well, reading, I guess, is a taught skill overall.
I mean, I can read, and I read all the time. But just kind of the understanding that I want to spend an hour taking in a fiction story that doesn't, like, I feel like if I'm going to spend that hour doing something, I need to feel like I've grown after that. And I know that if you spend time reading fiction that you can absolutely grow in doing that, but my brain doesn't believe it. And that's a problem for me. I've got a question for you guys, but I'm going to ask it, and then I'm going to ask the text line to participate over the break, and I'm going to ask you guys to really think about this one. What intersection or stretch of road do people drive absolutely the stupidest on? So there's got to be a place where you're like, that's just where the dumbest people drive. So we all live in Illinois. Chances are we're going to have Illinois answers here. But where do people, an intersection or an area, stretch of road, where people just cannot figure out how to get it right? First question, we come back, including yours on the text line, 314-241-9797, and on the YouTube live chat. Send us your thoughts. We're going to wrap up the show, spend a half an hour doing this and giving you the results to today's YouTube live chat poll. In the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Back in a minute.
We are still doing our Ask Me Anything Next Question segment. So if you have anything you'd like to ask about whatever topic, you can text it in 314-241-9797 or on our live stream. You can leave a comment there. We are screening them all. Let us know. 2:32. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Welcome back. So I just set up the question for our next question, our Ask Us Anything. I am asking you, what is the intersection or stretch of road where you believe people drive the absolute stupidest? Like every time you get to this place, people are doing the same dumb crap every single time. I'm going to start, and I'm going to say in Edwardsville, it's right by Cassin's, the car dealer, where we bought our Pacifica. There is if you're leaving from the road that goes between Sam's and Cassin's, that means very little to most of you. But anyway, there's a right turn at all times. You're supposed to make the right turn. Do not stop. You're making a right turn onto 159, which is at least a 4-lane stretch of road for a very long time through Edwardsville and Glen Carbon. You're supposed to right turn at all time and then merge into the traffic on 159. And people stop there to turn right on red all the time. And it's so funny because we are in that area quite a lot. Every time I drive by there, there's somebody who stopped, and the people in the car behind them, you can't hear them, but they're just throwing their hands in the air, and they're like, go, you're not supposed to stop. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But it's every time, always. And there are signs everywhere that say, like, do not stop, right turn at all times, and people just don't get it. And then we talk about this, we dip in every once in a while. The old Edwardsville Connection Facebook page, where the cattiest of catty things get discussed. People are like videoing people sitting at that stoplight. And I mean, I thought to myself, every town has to have this place.
Collinsville has one.
What's the worst place in your experience where people drive?
I'll say both, because one of them is right by where there used to be a Burger King in Collinsville. There's a ramp where 2 lanes meet to become a 2-lane road, but you can only get there by 1 lane each. So the people merging from the right lane think, I'm supposed to yield here, and you do not. In fact, you get almost pummeled if you stop there.
It's a hazard.
Yeah, and it's right by what used to be Burger King and now is just nothing sitting there waiting.
You said that with a little sadness.
I love that Burger King, but it's being rehabbed, so I think it's going to become something soon. But my answer is the same as this texter's answer right here. It says, most dangerous stretch of road, I-70. Now,
just in general?
He says east and westbound and goes into a little bit, but my answer is basically the same. Between about Lambert and roughly downtown St. Louis, I don't know why, but I-70 is like Mad Max, no matter when you drive it. And it may have to do with sight lines or something. I don't know what it is, but there's no highway like that.
And there's like 2 speeds. There's 180 miles an hour and 8 miles an hour.
Which one are you driving?
I'm not doing 180. I used to probably, but anymore I'm probably the 8 miles an hour.
Brad, what's the worst place?
For me, it's on 64 eastbound whenever you're getting off at 50. That exit there to get off at 50 in O'Fallon is like, they've got a big, long runway area, and then there's the exit. And what people do in that area is they will start slowing down before they even get to that big, long runway area, and they'll be down to 40, 45 miles an hour on the highway getting onto that exit area. And like you have that whole exit area plus the ramp getting off the highway that is a super long ramp. You have a long time to slow down, and they slow down way before they even get to it, and it just causes traffic, and it's dangerous.
I can't believe it, but I'm looking back through some of these texts. A lot of people saying Highway 70, and then right as I was probably saying that, so I didn't say it based on what they wrote, and they didn't write it based on...
Do you want credit?
Well, both of us get credit.
You're saying
whoever
this guy
you
plagiarized. He's like, that was a great idea. I'm going to text it and act like it's mine.
3 to 4 miles in any direction of the intersection between 170 and 70 is like Mad Max Thunderdome.
So it is confirmed.
It is.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree on that in St. Louis.
Info Dude says, my actual answer to the question would be I-80 south of Chicago over to Indiana. If you want to practice your NASCAR skills, go there about 11 o'clock at night.
All right, next question, Ryan.
Do you believe angels can take on human form?
I think angels can do all sorts of things.
I mean, the Bible says that they can. So
Yeah,
I don't
and
know
did
if we're
and
arguing
do.
it. Yeah.
So yes.
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 And speak to us, they said.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Angels
All right.
unaware.
Thanks for that. Let's see. I got one more question here that I really want
Brad,
to
you got
ask.
one over there?
Yeah, on the text line, this question is along those lines. What was a miraculous experience that you believe could only have been God?
Oh, I don't know. Just my general existence. Like the creation of the world. I really don't understand how people that discount creation can offer the alternatives to the to just existence and not understand the same amount of faith that has to exist for those things to occur. I mean, at some point, all of the ideas of the creation of existence have to rely on some amount of faith. So I feel like for me, creation makes the most sense. But I mean, if you have watched a life grow inside of a woman and see just how it develops, like I don't know how you could question the existence of maybe a God, but certainly the one true God.
I've had many different things that would be, I would think, supernatural. I won't go into all of them here, but I will share one that's not exactly supernatural, but is definitely like a moment that I look back on and I go, well, that was set up by God. And I've told my CF story many times. I won't tell that one here. But when I first started working here, I was out of TV and leaving my own company and was just looking to figure out what was next. And I was working here part-time. And I had been basically offered a job at Boeing. And this was 2018. And a good friend of mine from church was on the same team as they were hiring at Boeing. And that's a big company. So you knew, oh, okay, this is a very much ordained thing. And at that exact same time, Mark Close left the Glover show. And so they were doing open auditions. And I tried to do one and I just didn't do well, I guess. But then when I found out that I was going to get this job at Boeing, I was like, oh, well, I'm going to be leaving here anyway. So I kind of just went nuts on the air. I'm just going to do whatever I want. Who cares? This will be the last time I'm on. And I guess because of that, the audience in that time when they were doing tryouts liked me enough that they're like, oh, you got to get that guy. So I had the job offer here from 97.1, but Boeing hadn't made the offer yet. But I knew they were going to. And so my wife and I prayed about it. And we knew that Boeing job was going to pay a lot better. And we knew that was going to be a very nice career setting us up. And we both felt like, no, you're supposed to take the one that's open right now, which is the 97.1 job. And because of that, I'm still here. And if they had made that Boeing offer a week earlier, I probably wouldn't be. And we never had to cross that road.
Yeah. For me, I would say it's I don't want to say my whole life, but looking back on it, God leading me to faith, leading me to himself, drawing me to him. You look back at the situations, the circumstances that at the time either were really cool or they didn't make sense. One of the things that really bothered me when I was in 7th grade, we moved, and I lost all my friend group, all of that other stuff, into this strange town where I never, ever, ever fit in. But that put me in a position then for another friend to come along to invite me to church. You know, just things like that along the way shows me that not only does God exist, but he's actively working within my life.
I've got a lot of stories like that. They're super personal. So not really for public airwaves, but I always find the most obvious glaring moments like that where it's very clear to me that as much as I've tried to wrangle away the reins of my life away from God, I just picture him as this like heavenly father who's kind of standing there the way I'm standing in the studio right now with his arms crossed, kind of amused. Like, okay, Annie, give it your best shot. Like there's this meme that I have saved on my phone and I have sent it to my kids every once in a while. And it's Jesus in a meme. So I don't know that this is exactly like God breathed scripture. This is from the canon. But It's just a very simple picture of a little girl, and Jesus has his hand out, and he's asking for this little girl's teddy bear, and she looks very sad to be having to give up her teddy bear, and he's just squatted down eye level with her, and he has this gigantic teddy bear behind his back. And like, to me, I'm that like broken-hearted little girl going, but this is my teddy bear. You don't know what this means to me. This is something that I've loved and I need it and it's mine and you want to take it away from me. And it just, I'm an idiot. I always have to like really get to rock bottom, beating my head into the wall before I'm like, well, what if I just gave this over to God? And then all of a sudden, it all makes sense to me. And I would pray that God would keep me from having to humble myself so much over and over and over again and just get out of my own freaking way. But alas, thus the constant cycle of a sinful existence. But I've got a lot of them, and I believe in them wholeheartedly. But like I said, some of these things are very close to our lives and would involve me telling stories maybe out of school a little bit that aren't mine to tell. So keep sending your questions, 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. Also on the YouTube chat. We'll give you the results to the YouTube live chat poll question here when we return. Before we hand it over to the Mark Reardon Show, in the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved?
I'm going to ask you one question as we go to break here.
Okay.
Annie, you can answer it. It says this: is this the Annie Frey text line?
Nope. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our little show here, the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, the YouTube poll. In the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? That's the first question I'm going to ask you guys here before we wrap it up and give you the poll results of your listener feedback. And we've got a few more questions of our own. Ryan, why don't you go first? In the last 5 years, how has your faith evolved? Stayed strong, grown, decreased? or I'm not a Christian.
It has just stayed. I feel like I've not, unfortunately, I don't feel like I've grown a whole lot in the last couple years, which it just may be the season. I just am so busy with kids. It's not a good excuse, but we're just in that moment in time that I feel like my focus is on practically just getting stuff done all the time. And it's not a great place to be, but I also don't think that I've backslid in any sort of way. So I'll just say stayed.
You have a pretty strong faith.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean it should stop.
Mm-hmm. Well, a perpetuation and a studying of it, I'm just saying, like, I don't get the vibe from you that your faith has wavered and you're
No,
you're pretty strong
all.
faith. Brad?
I'm going to say it's grown. I've gone through over the past year or more a very rough patch in my life, and it's weird to say this, but sometimes it just feels like nothing is going right, and like even God doesn't hear you. But like Annie, you were talking about Job earlier. We don't know the reasons things are happening, and whenever I was studying Job, it seems to me that God is calling you to stand firm, to stay tight, even when it seems like it doesn't make sense. Stand firm, stay tight, and you may never know the reasons things are the way they are, but to grab a hold of him and just hold tight. And that's kind of where I've been, and I feel like I've grown closer to God in that time, and that my faith has grown stronger, because even now, that's where I turn whenever things go bad.
Yeah, even still, that's a phrase that I think is often associated with faith and our faith walk. I would say that my faith, I don't know if my faith has grown, but my comfort with it has. I think that this is partially just being in my 40s, and I've heard this. I heard the rumors. Kind of glad that it's actually coming to be. But you hear like people are like, in the 40s, you just kind of stop caring about a whole lot of the things that you used to burden yourself with. I don't know. Like, I just feel this may sound kind of silly, but I just feel like faith is enough sometimes. And when I'm trying to run and keep up with everything that I'm responsible for, because I have a lot of responsibilities in my life, there are people who are counting on me alongside my husband, but also my husband's counting on me. And I'm counting on my husband that it's like when stuff doesn't get done, when it doesn't get done right, when it doesn't get done perfect in my life, I'm becoming much more comfortable realigning and saying, what can I control? Like, what is actually in my purview to control, to improve, to make better, and then grabbing a hold of that and everything else. Like, maybe all of these things aren't my responsibility, and maybe that it is a weakness and a temptation that I suffer with having to worry about all these other things. Like, they're all my responsibility. There's just a very few things that are my responsibility, and the number one thing being to raise a family that is rooted in faith. So just being a little bit more, like, comfortable with a firm foundation, being more aware of it, and just resting on that. Just kind of clearing some of the noise that exists. Next question, Brad.
Yeah. When did you know that your spouse was the one?
Ooh, that's a good question. It wasn't the first time I met her.
Why was she obnoxious? Or were
No,
you
I
obnoxious?
No, I was.
100% I was. Man, I look back at myself even in pictures from that time. I'm like, man, what a weird looking guy.
What did she see in me?
Yeah, why would you date that?
Yeah. You tell this, you do, when you tell your story of meeting Mrs. Wiggins and your relationship, you were like, you guys didn't like each other.
We didn't. No, we didn't. Well, I didn't hate her.
I was going to say, were you not like, it wasn't this immediate spark, or maybe she really thought you were obnoxious?
No, she thought I was just kind of annoying because I was annoying. Think about my personality at 44.
Brian, don't ask
and then
questions
think
you don't
about
want
me at
answers to.
19. What do you think I was like?
I don't know. Every time I'm in Collinsville, people tell me stories about you, so I have a pretty good idea.
That's probably true. She just didn't. She thought I was obnoxious, and she still thinks I'm kind of obnoxious.
But she likes it.
Now she likes it, and plus, I provide for her, so she has to stay around. I'm
gonna just interject here on her behalf and be like, she's providing too.
She works. I'm just saying. Now we're kind of linked.
I know, but I don't think she's trapped. I don't think she's there I mean, even as kind of a compliment to you, I don't think she's there because she feels like she has to be.
That is a compliment to me because I think the opposite is true. And I'm giving her a lot of leeway in saying, she could probably do better and doesn't. And that's good for me.
Do you think that most men feel that way? About their wife or significant other?
I definitely think that I am obnoxious, though. And she definitely
There's
agrees.
a cartoon. I think, isn't it like Encanto or something? But they're like, you're getting kind of a little deeper dive into some of the ancillary characters. And it goes to one, and he's just like, I'm obnoxious. I got to find out somebody message me and tell me which one that is. Brad, when do you know?
This is going to sound weird, but we went as on a double date to Six Flags, and we were walking around Six Flags, and they were going to get on the boss, and I was
with one of the invisible dogs.
No, we were going to get on the boss. I was chunky, didn't fit in the boss really well. I said, "Why don't you guys go on? I'm going to go over here and win Terry a prize at the milk jug toss."
Okay.
So I was, talking trash. No plan on actually winning a prize. Toss.
I'm going to sacrifice my own fun to go do something for this girl.
Yeah.
That's what you just did.
Toss the softball in, first try, win, and I win this gigantic Scooby-Doo stuffed animal. So anyway, we get in line, and she's like, I cannot, because I was standing out there when they got off holding the thing, and she's like, there's no way. There's no way. And we get in line, and these little girls behind us were just in awe of this gigantic stuffed Scooby-Doo. And Terry looked at the little girl, and the little girl had a smaller one. And she goes, do you want to trade? And she traded the gigantic Scooby-Doo stuffed animal.
For you. Just kidding.
Yeah. And she's like, here, take him. Give me the little one.
See that guy over there? He couldn't fit on the roller
Yeah,
coaster.
sense of humor. I knew she was the one. Just kidding.
But she traded that
That's so
with
sweet.
him. And and it was offset by another girl in line who saw her and just instinctively was like, no, don't do that. And I was like, she's giving and caring and loving, and she cares about others. That's the kind of woman I want to marry.
How long have you been dating?
I want to say we were dating maybe a couple months, 6-7 months.
How long did you date before you got engaged?
Maybe a year and a half.
How long did you date before you got engaged, Ryan?
Well, we had known each other and had dated back when we were like 20-ish.
So
But
part
then we
one
broke
and the
up
sequel?
we broke up, and then we got back together, and we really were dating almost long distance, so it was
For how long?
weird. A year.
Second time around?
Yeah.
First time I met Jared, truthfully, our families had known each other for years and years and years. Our younger brothers played on the same baseball team together. So everybody in my family knew everybody in his family. And I didn't know him. I played softball. He played baseball. So we were never really in the same place at the same time if our brothers were playing baseball. And good old wild country. I was there with some friends. He went there with some friends. And I met him. I was introduced to him. And I kid you not, he knows this. He's not hearing this for the first time on a replay of this show. The first time I met him, I know exactly where I was standing in wild country at that time. And I thought to myself, I think I could marry this man. Now, I think a huge part of that was I knew his family. So I knew where he came from. I already knew that foundation was firm.
He came from money.
But it was clearly the wealth of the Frey, the lore.
Oh, I know
the
that
Frey
family.
wealth. Yeah, and I thought, this will do. No, not at all. I just knew. I believe it was a God moment. One of the questions before, I absolutely believe it was a God moment. So I knew immediately. The YouTube poll for today, we asked you about your faith, and I'm pulling up the results here. 35% said your faith has grown. 52 said grown. 35% said strong. Keep it here. Mark Reardon next.